Hello, folks. Welcome to Irongeek Cast number 93, Creative Vibes with Broken Lights.
Okay, first off, a very, very important topic. A little bleed over from last week. Adrian, did you find your wallet?
No. And the thing is, I probably had maybe $500 in the wallet, and I probably had, I don't know, $300 in lockpicks in it. I don't know. It's fuck off, yes, but no, I did not.
Jesus Christ! Are there like sterling silver lockpicks?
No, gold.
Titanium alloy.
Ooh, yeah, no, those are not easy to replace.
All right, so maybe not $200. I don't know.
They're really easy to replace. You just pay the proper amount of money to do it.
And I'm expecting there to be some Black Friday sales at Serapic and Sparrows, and I will reorder shit then. But no, I'm pissed about it. But what the fuck can I do?
Offer a $500 reward? I don't
know. Somebody stole my glow-in-the-dark lockpicks years ago, and no amount of reward has ever made them resurface. Yeah, they're not going to resurface anyway because they had custom handles made with the 303 logo on them.
Oh.
So if you ever see anybody with a set of glow-in-the-dark 303 lockpicks,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Is glow-in-the-dark lockpicks just comes off to me as if a bank robber goes into a bank and shouts, "I'm about to rob you."
Well, if you're showing off your lockpicks to the point where they can see that it has glow-in-the-dark handles, you're probably a few sandwiches shy of a picnic already.
Okay.
Call me Ishmael, but you usually keep those things hidden for a while, don't you?
I actually had a guy who was working on some Damascus steel, pattern welded steel lockpicks for me. But we probably had a falling out there because I don't follow him on Twitter anymore. He doesn't follow me. And the guy who was shouting about, I don't know, what was it? Live beef at DebbieCon. Someone was shouting about cis white het men or something in the makerspace.
He wasn't shouting about it. So the hardware hacking village, relatively small in size. Do you really want me to say who it is?
Let's skip it. But yeah, someone
who was there began ranting passionately about how a makerspace or a hackerspace must have women in it, and if it doesn't, that means it is a failure in the management, a failure there, failure on policy.
Noise.
And if he had just stopped there, maybe he can hand wave it off as someone who just thinks there was not enough effort put in. But he continued. He was talking about how code of conducts are mandatory, and anyone who complains, by definition, by virtue of complaining, must be kicked out. As in, your hackerspace will be healthier for kicking them out. And then he went on further than that. He after elaborating on that point around 3 or 4 times, repeating it, he then, for some reason, talked about how it's convenient and nice that he's a friend of his city's mayor, as it allows for things that are less than legal to go on. He didn't really elaborate on that. Because, someone who talks about wanting to help the privileged somehow being able to skirt the law because he's friends with a fucking mayor, I don't know what else to say there.
What was it, a mayor or a mare, like a female horse?
Someone who has, I guess in either case, illegal behavior could be involved, but...
Agreed.
Was the guy in question a balding ginger?
I'll be entirely honest, I don't quite recall his complexion, but I think so. I'd be happy to tell you who it is.
I showed somebody a tweet from somebody who said something like,
"We love dog anus."
God.
If it's the guy I think I want to show him a tweet that said something like some nut job that said something like, "Why do they call them sanitation workers? Because garbage man is
tautology.
Sexist."
That's not sexist. And he's like, no, it's a joke about philosophy. No, it's not a fucking joke about philosophy. That's just a woman who hates men.
Here's my philosophy. Fuck you.
we all are well aware of that, AP.
I have a question regarding this individual. Did he give up his job and space to a non-Hisset white male then? Is he homeless now?
Probably not.
Well, then he's suppressing them, isn't he? Not really following his own ideology, is he?
Hey, you want to test this? So I'm going to test this sound wave you wanted to open the show with?
Yeah, at this point,
we'll
just...
already started.
The show's already started.
Oh, look at me staring at my navel. I'm sorry. Oh, man, now I'm upset.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry,
no,
AP. That's my bad.
I'm kind of like,
Fuck! Oh!
Hey, we can still do the soundbite.
Okay, well, let's see if it works.
Hopefully.
No, it doesn't. Wait, yeah, I think it hasn't loaded yet. Hang on.
Press play. It's that triangle.
That's all it is that click.
Really? That's it?
You might want to send me the whole file.
I wondered why it was like 20 kilobyte.
That's weird. All right, we'll figure that out later.
Scan your computer for a virus.
I'll tell you what. I'll clear my cookies and.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
I actually bitched somebody out pretty harshly about that earlier this week. They actually did. They did that. They were like, have you tried turning it off again? And have you I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind?
I see Simone and Charles have joined the cast.
They have.
It sounded like you said Samoan Charles.
Simone and Charles, yes.
Yes, Simone and Charles, not Samoan Charles.
Samoan Charles.
I've been slowing my speech a little bit. Sorry.
Like one of my favorite bands, the Angry Samoans. Have you ever heard?
Charles is the lead singer.
Are they ska?
No, they're evil.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Charles brought my favorite person.
Yes. Say hey, Simone.
I'm trying to actually know Samoans personally.
What's that?
I'm trying to think if I actually know any Samoans personally. I might know. I think one of my con buddies of sorts, his wife. I think his girlfriend is Samoan, but I'm not sure. Anyway,
let me explain something to you. There is no not sure. Have you met this person in person?
Yes.
Okay, if you look at someone, there is absolutely no way you can not be sure if they're Samoan or not.
Well, I mean, I know Samoan men are usually generally very large individuals.
No. When I was in the military, I had a Samoan drill sergeant. And believe me, there's no mistaking. They're like the strongest, warrior type. Like you just respect them out of the box when you see them.
I watch a lot of like weird shit online about protests and fights happening and so forth.
Yes.
I know this Samoan guy that goes by he's part of the Patriot Prayer Group, and he's Samoan. His nickname is Tiny. So you know what he looks like, just the nickname Tiny.
Right.
Yeah.
Big, strong looking. Yeah.
So where are we? Where are we in the show notes, guys?
Not even started yet.
They're the last person you're going to see wearing their sister's jeans and listening to play. You know that happens. It's fake.
All right. By the way, before we get into the show notes, I do have a question. Like, I see a lot of salt on Twitter about the recent election because people were expecting a blue wave, but I mean, they got a slight blue ripple. I mean, like the Democrats took the House. Is that correct?
Yes, they took the House.
Yeah.
Republicans kept the Senate. I feel a lot of salt and disappointment online, and I'm like, if you're
let it go.
Is this an incremental step for you? I'm confused why people are salty.
Wait.
I also
it really depends. It depends on who you are, because out of the people I saw reactions to, there's a friend of mine who lives in Europe, and he was like, "I have a tear in my eye. 25 new women were elected, and this woman of color was elected, and this gay person was elected, and this state had one person who was, the very first black gay woman to ever be elected, and it's so beautiful. And then a friend of mine who lives in Colorado was like, "Oh my God, it's over! I'm just going to go kill myself now because Trump's going to get reelected, and everything is horrible, and I hate everybody." And I just made a dookie in my sandbox. I mean, it was weird.
What does the election have to do with Trump being reelected?
You're asking me? I'm the sensible one here.
Their logic behind it is if there's enough people in Congress and the Senate that are Republican, that there will be more support towards Trump in the next election.
Generally, midterms have been seen in the past as how do we put it? An indictment
predictor
of what the current feelings on the current president is.
Traditionally, it's always kind of the underdog thing, as in traditionally the Senate and the House always gain seats in the party that opposes the president. So,
but they didn't gain as many seats this time around as what normally happens.
The thing with that is, I think there are only in the Senate. I think there was only a few. I think the Senate, it's every 6 years or every 2 years they have to run, and only 8 Republican seats were up this time, whereas 21 Democratic seats were up. So I mean, there was a slim chance that the Democrats were going to take over the Senate.
Oh yeah, it just happened to be that the Democrats were at a high disadvantage in the Senate, and the Republicans were at a high disadvantage in the House, and it showed.
Yep.
Got
and
no
what is
idea.
Binary with it's like Republican bad, anything else good.
To be fair, there's also the opposite binary that exists.
Of course.
And then there's the guys like me where I'm just like, you're all just bad.
Just listen to some George Carlin.
You're all crooks.
One thing, now, this gets some of the weed people maybe happy. Sessions is out. What's happening with Sessions? Sessions is gone now.
Oh, he stepped down.
He was asked to step down.
That was totally spot, and I've also saw he stepped down. Which is it? Was he?
The wording was that he was asked to step down, and which it means that he's fired, but officially he stepped down, which allows for it's a legal distinction. Socially, yes, he was fired.
Okay, so
legally he stepped down.
Yeah, but it could have consequences to like pension, whatever the government pension is, and some of those things too.
Here's a conspiracy theory for you. Maybe Trump is planning to legalize marijuana. That way, all the liberals who would vote against him will be too high on election day to vote for him, and all the libertarians who don't normally vote ticket libertarian will vote for the Republicans next time. I don't know.
That would be interesting if he did push to legalize marijuana. That would be a bit of a mind fuck for everyone.
That would,
and no pun intended.
Well, gotta keep in mind, Trump, I don't think is conservative. Trump is a fucking populist who's going to do what I think is going to make him think that people are going to like him more. I think he's an odd duck, man.
He's the anti-liberal. He's not a conservative. He's the anti-liberal.
Yeah, I think that's
Did you see him go off on CNN today?
Yeah.
No.
No, I did not.
You know what the craziest thing out of all of that was? I watched it, and it was like kind of funny. Okay, yeah, he shut the guy down. What you couldn't see unless you watched a different news feed was the White House aide, which is this like 98-pound soaking wet somebody's cousin woman who goes up there to take the microphone away from him. And it literally says in the captions, he karate chops her. And she tries to take the mic, and he pushes her arm out of the way. It was like the furthest thing from a karate chop that you've ever seen in your life. But they were describing it as, he karate chopped this woman. And if he had karate chopped that woman, she would have gone flying across the room.
Who wrote the captions?
Speaking of,
no clue.
CNN, though? I mean, who?
I honestly don't know. It was on somebody's Twitter feed, just like.
I think we spent 15 minutes on politics. We should go into the show notes.
Yes.
That is probably a good idea.
Okay.
So what politics do we talk about now?
All right, Charles, go for it.
I was saying, speaking of karate chops, let's just chop our way into this breach report.
Breach report.
What a segue.
Beginning with FIFA.
Yeah, good old FIFA. So we reported on them a few months ago. They were popped. Hey, guess what? They were popped again. So, yeah. They haven't released, at least that I found, like the full extent of it, but or the extent of the damage. But they were hit again via phishing, in which third parties fooled their targets into giving up password-protected login details. So fun. They discussed the prospect of the new hack and more uncomfortable revelations in the news media on the edges of the FIFA Council meeting last week in Rwanda. So yeah, good old FIFA. We love keeping insecure systems and employees who click on phishing emails.
But it said he was Nigerian prince.
Dude, man. So I had an engagement in the past year.
Really? Congratulations.
Yeah.
We didn't even know. What's her? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't assume gender. What's their name?
Wait, are you talking like a red team engagement?
Red team. Yeah, so we had a phishing campaign, and I sent out the emails, and within a minute I had creds back.
Oh yeah,
was really bad.
Yes, and you will honestly have that at every organization. That's why it is important that organizations ethically fish their own employees.
Yeah,
and start training them in regard to phishing emails, that threat vector, because you will get it. There was an incident at one of my previous companies that, and I actually phished our employees. So they were getting trained on a monthly, couple times a month basis consistently.
Mm-hmm.
But there were still those people who would still click on every freaking thing you would send them, even though they go through the training. We met in person with them. Managers meet with them. They still click to the point of an external phishing test, via a pen test, but phishing was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's AWS link did not work. Our employees email him back, reply to it, say, hey, the link's not working. He goes in, he fixes it, he sends out the new link to everybody. And he said, oh, thanks. Like, they assist, and then he's like, hey, let me know if this works.
That's part of
click on
engineering, man.
Yeah, it's totally working now.
When you're, like we were posing as IT support for this company.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it too.
Yeah, and so but what was interesting was that one guy that hit it right away was what I assume is the web admin based off of other information from the IP that it was sent from. I gathered. Like this thing was like they're out.
Yeah,
like
breaking up.
Oh, my bad. This was like their external router that he clicked from. So those are his credentials for their external DNS and routing tool and all this other stuff.
Oh, so they're doing like WAN-based DNS too.
Something like that. I'm not totally.
Yeah, I don't advise any company do that.
I've been in charge of a few phishing campaigns, but I hate doing phishing for work because there's so many things you gotta set up ahead of time that are a pain in the ass. A lot of management shit. But I'm surprised the people who will click yes and run stuff, and I don't have any idea. I'm like, this. I don't think I would ever fall for this in a million years. Why else would people click yes?
But you'd be surprised. I mean, you'd be surprised who falls for what.
Yeah.
I was surprised they fell for this because this looked really old. But go ahead, Israel.
Well, I was just going to say, it sucks because the easy ones, the people are still susceptible to it. Because you can have a lot of fun making just the most beautiful fishes ever. Like, I love taking, like, Google password reset emails, and stuff like that, and just sending that 100% straight through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, any password reset you can find. I mean, send the exact thing to the end user. Like, as long as you can get away with it. Like, if you're running an internal phishing server, if you're using one of the bigger ones like Wombat and FishMe or Cofense now, like they'll get on you for like copyright and patent infringements and everything else. So you can't like use all the Google and Microsoft stuff. So you got to get more creative. But if you're doing purely internal and you're hosting all the stuff internally, like have at it.
Yeah.
The only thing you got to watch out for, so it may have been somebody on here or one of my other buddies, but so they sent out during tax time an IRS fish, and so all of a sudden, like the IRS is now calling them. We have people calling us from your company, and the actual IRS is reaching out to the tech department and ends up getting back to him. Is like, okay, yeah, I'll shut that one down.
Damn. I have a question about the phishing stuff you guys do at your companies. Would you say there's like a certain like age demographic of like people that typically do click on the fishes and get?
I don't know the ages, man.
It doesn't matter, really.
Really, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you won't really get that data if you're doing a third party. If you're doing it internally, you'll get to know it. But honestly, I've done it globally, and there is not necessarily there are certain fishes that are more effective against like male versus female, younger versus older, things like that. Certain more social media oriented fishes will be more appropriate for younger, people. If you're mentioning like fact, and things will be more specific to certain departments, if you're talking like a fax document, or mentioning that, like that'll be excellent for like an accounts payable accounts receivable, because a ton of accounts receivable still receive faxes. Go ahead.
Here's the bigotry I find, like people talk about age demographic and so forth, and who's going to be technically savvy and so forth. I don't know if it's age based so much because, dude, there are like boomers a boomer who has been in ham and built his own computer back in the 80s is more tech savvy than a modern day millennial.
Yes.
Well, I mean that depends on your definition of tech savvy. Like to our level, where they can do the building. Like tech savvy now is something more of like I know how to open an iPhone, rather than
and install an app
and install apps for dear old Graham so that she can do online banking. And so you will get baby boom. It's the same kind of thing with the phishing demographic question in terms of who's technical or
gullible. I guess would be the good word to use there.
And
the false word.
And with that, anyone can be gullible to something. True. It all just depends on what the target's demographic as a business sense is. Like, do they have or is this an environment that might require remote access sometimes? Does this company offer that? And then so you would tailor your phishing attempt to say, hey, we're testing like this new VPN. Can you just log in with your work credentials and we'll see if this works. We're trying to test it right now. That works. Yeah. But what I was going to say about the web admin thing was, in terms of training, everyone needs to be trained. It's not just
with a horsewhip.
Well, yes, a cat of nine tails.
Getting biblical on this, man.
I used to have the cat 5 and 9 tails.
Nice.
That was sweet.
Not when I'm taking a drink, AP.
I used to have the bobcat.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
The bobcat.
We'll get to that later. Next up, Radisson gets popped. Radisson discloses data breach impacting rewards customers.
Yeah. So apparently, so they didn't say the total amount of individuals included in this. I mean, so it could have gone all the way up to every rewards member with Radisson. But if you were part of this breach, you were notified via email between October 30th and 31st. So
happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween. April 1st. Dun dun dun. We have a news alert. We have a fixed news, urgent news. This just in. The polls have closed. We have no data in regard to anything in regard to Florida, but we can now say the Democrats have won Florida with no data. Yeah. Okay. Back to regular stuff now.
Wait, why did I say woohoo? No. Fuck.
Okay. Yeah. So
okay. So on Radisson,
the data that was
say, yeah, they did say that there was no credit card data involved in the breach or passwords.
Yeah.
So, but it's probably, I'm guessing, name, address, phone number, probably just more PII types of info.
Yep. So right here it says the compromised information includes the basic name, residence, email address for all impacted customers, and in some cases it also includes company names, phone numbers, and rewards number and frequent
flyer numbers.
Yeah,
I need to get a hold of some of those. I mean, no, I shouldn't.
So even the information that they took from this, and it goes back to phishing again. This is all stuff that could be easily, like, if you needed to ensure, like, say, pose as Radisson support calling up some of these people that were compromised, you could probably get their credit card information that way.
Yeah,
you've got enough there to, with confidence, say that you are Radisson. This is your information. Here's your frequent flyer. Is this your phone number? Is this the company that you work for? All that stuff. You've got enough information to social engineer that out of them.
Oh yeah, and that was something I was going to say earlier too. Like from a phishing perspective, calling up the client services, help desk. There's a decent chance you have enough information oftentimes to be able to verify whatever an end user has said. Just find 10 end users on LinkedIn that look kind of juicy, that you can find some of their info, and yeah, you can usually get a password reset straight over the phone and then go from there.
Yeah, and you can even have it to just send it back to that phone number and say, "Oh yeah, this is a new phone number. I had to switch it because of the breach," and blah 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 blah.
Yep. True.
Social engineering. It's fun.
Got to love it. Okay, next up, we have a company called Austal who builds ships, and some of their ship plans have been thrown up for sale.
What?
But not by them.
Sounds like they're a deep ship.
They are a deep ship. Because they are also a defense contractor for Australia, and they do build some of the Australian warships. Now, as far as they know so far, none of the confidential ship plans have been put up for sale, but they do know that their regular ship plans, ship design drawings, probably all the way down, I'd say, to like the oh crap, what's CAD files? The actual CAD designs.
Yeah, design drawings in this case would be CAD or computer assisted drafting files. So you would get a full layout in a digital, almost and I think CAD you can do 3D space as well.
Look at Cappy, he knows what CAD means.
I took a class on it when I was in high school, and also worked with an architect building his website.
Oh, so like last year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, be a second to verify that is all correct.
Yeah, it's just been a while since I've used it. So, yeah, it's also important to note these guys also do build ships for the U.S. as well.
I didn't see that part, do they?
Yeah, yeah, and they said its U.S. operations were unaffected because the computer systems are not linked. So to its ones that used in Australia. So they have different sites that do not talk to each other. So they say.
Yes.
That is that is the question. Are we actually air gapped? Cough.
Yeah, by continents. Okay, next up. Eurostar resets all customer passwords.
After a hack attack.
Yeah, after a hack attack. So whenever you were overseas, did you ever use Eurostar?
No, but I know a couple because in where I was in the Netherlands, there were two companies that ran the trains. You had NS and then you had shoot, what's it called?
Sounds like a monopoly.
Eurostar?
It almost is a monopoly, but there's just two companies that are competing, and it works. They get there's something political going on there. I didn't care because it was a service that was great, and that's fine. But
and two, I mean, you had the donkey, so you were good.
No, I had a bike.
Oh yeah, so you upgraded from the donkey.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, that's always good to do.
I don't know if that's really an upgrade.
I think there was more mileage on the bike than the donkey.
Oh, yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's what she said last night.
Oh, who's got the out there brothers queued up?
Man, I only had goats here.
So watching goat is a whole other thing.
AP, is that you or is that a soundbite?
No, that's AP.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so back to Eurostar real quick. So they got popped. Account passwords, it looks like, were accessed and stolen. And they said no credit card and payment details were compromised. So they do not store that data, apparently. Which is
in Germany.
It's what?
It's in Germany.
Oh, yes. Da.
Or at least that whatever I just typed into Google was German.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the EU just takes up way too much space. It's hard to tell where they are.
What?
My booze.
All right, where did that go? Where did it say Eurostar? Oh, it's Eurostar.com. I did .org.
That's that done. And
I can't eat.
it sounds like due to GDPR, they may have actually notified the customers within 72 hours.
Got like a drumstick?
Yeah, which is part of the new standard that all of the EU has now, and pretty much subsequently the rest of the corporate world anyway.
Yeah, and anybody working within the EU.
That standard is a double-edged sword.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because if you're reporting within 3 days, that's not long enough for you to do a full investigation yourself, and it'll result in things like dramatically underreporting the actual scale of the breach.
Yeah,
you first discovered this one database at Facebook.
Right.
What was Facebook's recent breach?
Cambridge Analytica was the big one.
No, not the Cambridge Analytica.
We've had a couple. They had a dev system that people were able to access through, and then there was
the one that implicated single sign-on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was.
You're talking about when they gave out the people's telephone numbers and stuff like that.
Well, it was more than that. It was also single sign-on keys. You log into any website linked to Facebook.
Yeah. So
yes, yeah, that was here like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Facebook revised their estimate of the number of accounts impacted several times throughout their investigation, but the number that got the most publicity was their first number, which what was it like? $500,000 or?
Yeah, I think
Probably the
initially
smallest, right?
they were saying I think it was like 2 to 3 million, somewhere in there, but eventually the number got up to like
Yeah,
the 40,
exactly.
50 million range.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In that case, whatever it was, the number nearly doubled by the time they finished their investigation.
Yeah. Oh, it was more than double.
Yeah. Well, it may very well be. It's just from what I last read.
Liz, you almost sound like you were speaking with an accent tonight. Not saying it's a bad thing.
Maybe?
Just saying.
Which accent?
I don't know. Like
I'm very
Gaelic,
curious.
I
now.
don't know. Like Irish, like a slight somewhere in there maybe.
Okay.
Okay, now that didn't have the accent. That's Liz tone I know.
As real as hearing voices. Just kidding.
Oh wait, you don't see everybody around me because they're talking too. Okay, next up we have HSBC. Hey, I'm sure nobody heard about this one
because it happened today.
Well, yeah, like yesterday. I think I have a story on here from today, but I heard about it yesterday, the day before. But yeah, so HSBC got popped. I looked them up. I don't know if it's on this one. They are actually the 7th largest financial institute in the world. I mean, that's big time whenever it comes to banks. So, but it did stay fairly minimal. Whenever they were hit, apparently only 14,000 customers affected. I mean, and they have millions of customers. So it's less than 1% of their entire customer base.
Yeah, that's a SOC that did its job.
Yeah, probably. They didn't say how long they had been in the. At least I don't think they said how long they had been in the system or systems. But yeah, to keep it minimized to that small of an attack surface, that they did do a halfway decent job.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything say, and at least in this article, to say whether or not, or how long they were in the network.
Yeah.
And I previously just skimmed over this earlier, but looks like they also get attacked on a pretty regular basis too.
Yeah, every couple of years.
Yeah,
like and two, that's attacks that are disclosed. So make sure to differentiate that because
where a breach or loss of service has occurred.
Yeah. So 2009, 2010, 2012, 2015, 16. Couple they started getting DDoS back in like 2016 a couple times. So
yeah, that year DDoS kind of came back as the way to go, and then malware hit later that year. Or sorry,
we
ransomware hit later that year.
Yeah, we actually haven't had DDoS stories here in the last couple months. So
well, because Mirai is now working with the FBI.
That's right.
Now.
Okay, and finally, on the breach report, I would avoid using any Pakistani banks. Just, don't.
Oh, son of a bitch, I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. You better get that helicopter gassed up. The Federal Investigation Agency, I'm assuming maybe is in Pakistan. I like that name though. We are the Federal Investigative Agency. So their cybercrime wing has said data from almost all Pakistani banks was stolen in a recent security breach. Holy crap.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, when pressed to clarify, the official said data from most of the banks operating in the country have been compromised. And what they've been seeing, data of over 8,000 account holders has been sold. And this was from just 10 banks.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these 10 banks blocked all international transactions on their cards. So it looks like it's outside of Pakistan, I'm guessing. But yeah, it looks like too, if you are... Oh, apparently Krebs had an article about it.
Yeah, and I tried to find the article to put into the show notes, but it's buried under like 5 different articles of his or something like that. I couldn't find it because that link just goes straight out to...
they didn't put a direct link in.
Yeah, no.
See, Krebs just works too hard. If he'd stop doing so much work, it'd be a lot easier for the rest of us.
Yeah. I like how he's always got like the latest on if it was sold on the dark net. It's like that guy's way too out in the open to be on the dark net. He's got it. Like my buddy and I have a theory that he's got guys that are in really deep.
Well,
tell him
yes and no. I mean, he's not going to be on the dark net as like Brian Krebs. Hey, my username's Brian Krebs.
Right.
Hey guys, like where can I score some coke?
Right.
Like
where can I score Pakistani banking credentials?
Yeah, like that's not how it really works down there.
Right. So
you're proxying out. You're never coming from your home location. You're going through a separate country, whatever. I mean, like I think, what is it? NordVPN?
NordVPN, yeah.
Yeah, like you can actually do a physical server. Like I think they have like 40, 50 different countries that they have VPN services from.
Yeah.
And they're not like masking or doing anything like that. They actually have physical servers in these countries, and that's what you are proxying to.
Yep. Another one that I think is the same way is TunnelBear is another VPN service that does the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not using like software overlays. They're actually physical servers in countries.
Physical servers in countries that I think it applies to both. You have to pay a subscription fee to use their service. To actually connect to those servers. So it's not like something just out in the open. Yep, yeah, you're good, Charles.
And most of these aren't like crazy expensive. Like a lot of them. I mean, if you're going to use a VPN service, like get a legit one, not some fly by night piece of crap. But they're usually in like the $50 a year range, like $50 to $75. I mean, it's not crazy expensive, but
that's reasonable.
I don't even think NordVPN is that much.
Last time I checked, I think they had like a 2-year deal for like $90 or something.
Something
3-year plan for $2.99 a month is what NordVPN's.
So $3, so $36 a year
for 3 years.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah. So $107.55 are billed every 3 years.
There you go.
Something tangentially related to that is I read in I think it was on Slashdot that AT&T started denying service to people that were found to be pirating different media files, and it's really such a coincidence that they just AT&T happened to have purchased Time Warner Cable, the Time Warner, the media company, recently. It's like, why do they all of a sudden have such an interest in media?
Just for clarification, like on the pirating media, like what kind of media? Was it like torrents or like streaming media?
I could look for the Slashdot article, but yeah.
Most likely, it would be looking at stuff at popular torrenting websites. AT&T's kind of had a long AT&T and Comcast have had a long stint.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, they both have a long stint
because they love to hate.
And this is like the first time that in a long time I think that AT&T has that I know at least that it said, I think in the article, let me find it, but that they said that they've denied service to somebody because of pirating.
Yeah, and two,
That's like so freaking coincidental.
Yeah, normally they will send like a cease and desist order.
True.
You know, before they ever like shut down a service. And I mean, good night. What year was that? Maybe like 90.
Oh boy,
2000, somewhere in there. I mean, back whenever Napster was still big. That was like 2000 range, right?
Napster, LimeWire.
Yeah.
He gave me a big cup of some warm, creamy liquid and told me to drink it all down.
That sounds good. Do that, Adrian.
Wow.
I trust him. Sounds legit.
What is going on?
It's mostly vitamins.
The gummies were pretty good though. The gummies, those are bad. I need to go find those.
Is Mary in the same place as Adrian?
I think so.
What's that?
Is Mary there?
No, you're at my house.
I'm at Mary's house.
Oh.
Mary,
yeah, because it was getting really weird really quick.
I don't know about how I take care of it.
Especially with all that creamy stuff.
Warm, creamy liquid.
Yeah.
Is it nice and thick? Does it feel good going down the back of your throat?
It was ground up a little bit, but like a little particulate to it, but it was okay.
I had to make it into like a milkshake because reasons.
That's what I usually tell the ladies. So
we have a fixed news, urgent news alert. Canada decided not to vote for Trump. Okay, that's it. That's it for now. Okay, next up, we got labs by the BS Bandit.
Woo! Once he figures out which headset is working.
Hello, everyone. Can anyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
No.
Perfect. Yeah, these headphones are
Right. Yeah. So, just to give a brief overview. Hello, everyone. Just to give a brief overview of the BSD lab. The reason I decided to create the labs and for the whole purpose of like demoing some cool stuff each and every week. This week I'll be demoing how to install OpenBSD. So something a little bit exotic. The reason I chose OpenBSD, and it's just something just as simple as an install. So I'm trying to share my screen again.
AP.
Yeah.
You.
But yeah,
please and thank you.
Who is doing that?
AP.
Who's doing what?
We're hearing a lot of background stuff coming from.
Yeah,
let me look on that.
Insanely scary.
My battery's going down. Hold on. Yeah, I just got a battery warning.
I thought you put the Darth Vader mask back on.
I sure did.
Adrian, do you want to make Charles the presenter so that everyone watching
Hold
can...
on a second. Let me lean over to my laptop and yeah,
do the clicky.
Lean on me
when you're not
strong.
I'll be your friend.
Thinking of that karaoke sometime. But anyway, I hope Charles is now the presenter, right?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, I'm just double checking to make sure that you are presenter. Good. Yeah, you're good.
I am.
Over on YouTube, man.
Good. Let's go.
I know you can see this screen. Can you see the VM? Can you see the OpenBSD screen?
Yep. Oh, we can't see the actual VM. We can only see the VM or the VirtualBox scene, which I'm getting to late.
Yeah, the
after
VirtualBox interface.
Application window. Boom. Here we go.
Yeah.
This should do it. This should really do it.
Ooh, that looks great.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do it, Charles. Do it.
All right. So this is when you boot up off of an ISO on OpenBSD. This is what you get. This is what it looks like. So you're actually going to do, since this is a new install, we're just going to hit I for install. I mean, the instruction manual is pretty straightforward. Usually when I'm choosing a keyboard layout, I just usually stick with the default because you already know what your layout is. There's no point in going over it again. Now, of course, at this point, you're just selecting your host name, which in this case, I live BSD Bandit. They love me. So again, once you selected your host name, now you're going over to your, of course, network interface, and in this case, it's EM0. And I don't want to throw anybody off, but when you're installing Linux, Linux is Ethel 0. Now, if you're in CentOS, it could be something different. It's just a different name of the network card, but you can, when you're after everything is configured, you can go back and configure it. If you're most comfortable with just having Ethel as your network card, you can go back and configure that in any system.
Yep.
It's all what you want to name it. That's why I like open source on Linux and Unix, because it's all text-based. Boom.
There was a big
so in this
thing
case,
with Ubuntu with that.
But you can configure it to do like static. So while it's searching, okay, here we go. Perfect. So I don't have IPv6, so we're gonna hit none there. And of course, I'm done configuring network interfaces. Now, if you had several interfaces, it would show up in this menu, say, okay, which one do you want to configure? So it'd be EM1, EM2, or whatever else, et cetera, et cetera. In this case, we're done, so boom. Root password for account, which I like about this is that it does not echo back for whatever you're typing. That's always fun. I'll just keep it simple.
Otherwise, we would all have just gotten a password for Charles.
Yes. So, and then now, once your password is typed in, then the next step, you're looking at the SSH daemon. Do you want to start that by default? Yes. I'm not an X Windows guy when it comes to like configuring OpenBSD. I hate doing it. It's just the worst. So I'm going to say no. And you should too. If you're installing, and this is a tip, if you're installing a Unix or a Linux system, and you know for a fact it's going to be a server, you should 99.9999% answer no for X Windows because it's not needed.
And an X window is just the GUI interface for the box, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that would be like what you would think an operating system looks like, where you can click on stuff. This is just getting you a shell access to, or your interface.
Exactly.
Shell.
Exactly. So now, once you've made it past this point, now you're up to the point where you want to just create an extra user. I always usually create this option. You can decide to say no. I'm just going to use BSD Bandit again. Password will not echo. Because with OpenBSD, what's cool about it is that it is all about security in OpenBSD. Now, whether I believe there's only one remote hole in like 20 years, I doubt it. But who am I? Now,
you are BSD Bandit. Yeah,
gone by with some barbecue sauce. But anyway, so. Next up is, do you want to allow root to log in by SSH? That's a big no-no. You always say no to that. I don't care who you are. You say no. Treat it like drugs. Just say no.
And if you say yes, then you X out the security.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
So you're leaving a gaping hole in your system when you do that. So next up, then you get into the time zone, wherever time zone you're located. I just always choose New York because I'm on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, you can choose a specific time or whatever. Now we get to the fun part, partitioning the disk. So as you can see, my disk name is WD0. So I'm going to hit enter. And you can decide whether or not you want to use the whole disk. And this is where the cool part about when you're installing Unix or any kind of Linux, you need to understand how your computer works. You need to understand what type of hard drives you have. You need to understand the internals. That's what made Linux so awesome. And this is no different. So in this case, I'm just going to use the entire disk, right? Now you see there's a custom layout, but I can also edit or create my own little custom layout if I choose to, or if I'm gonna do auto. In this case, for purposes, I'm just going to do auto, but you can always go back and customize. Okay. So we're just going to do the auto layout. And as you can see, you notice that it's looking at down to the cylinder of the hard drive and the different sectors. This is also important when you're dealing with OpenBSD. While that's running, I'm just going to talk. But this is super important when you're dealing with OpenBSD is to understand how your hard disk functions, because that's the only way you're going to be able to partition it. There is no GUI to partition OpenBSD that I'm aware of. Now that this auto configured, next up, installing the installation sets. So in this case, I'm just going to use HTTP because I don't have a CD-ROM, thank God. And usually in this case, I select none for the proxy, and then just hit enter again. Now you can choose list to choose which server that you want. If you're connected in it, and it'll show you a list of repositories that you can get OpenBSD files from. Because mind you, look at that list. I'm just going to do it just for our edification.
Edify us, Charles. Edify us.
What's that?
Come on, edify us.
Here you go. So as you can see, it's a list of all the repositories, what you want to work with, what mirror that you want. And again, I'll show you how to do it again. It's just a quick question mark. So, and then you can just pick and choose and decide which one that you want. So I'm going to pick 60. That's closer to New York. So list 60. All right. And now you see the server directory on the 60 on that New York mirror. So the mirror that's in Rochester, New York, that's the directory that is located at. So once you hit enter, yes, use HTTP yes instead. Sometimes you might get that where you can't connect. All right. Now, let's see, done. Done.
Oh, I recognize FTP nlog.
What's that?
FTP nlog number 91 there.
Yeah.
That's the mirror that I had to use while I was over in Europe.
Oh, God.
It was slow.
Oh. Now, yes. Okay. Now you'll find that what's happening here right now, and you'll run into this problem, is interesting, is the fact that it's not connecting to that particular repository, and I've seen that time and time again. So again, sometimes you might have to check your network settings. And mind you, I'm running this on a VM, so and a funny story. I was trying to fix this. So this morning, and this is, I'm just going to put it this way. This is what I get for trying to be Johnny on the spot come lately. And the reason I said both is this. So this morning, I said, I want to update my router, my TP-Link router to OpenWRT. So I upgraded to OpenWRT, and come to find out, Br0ken chip is not supported.
Whoops.
So I was left with just a firewall. Yeah. Which was not fun. Literally left with a firewall. Yeah. Ta-da!
The perfect firewall. Nothing will get through it. Literally nothing.
Yeah.
There will be no packets.
Exactly.
But it's so much safer that way, and you don't have to worry about hackers.
But here's the cool part. Now, my wife and child were sleeping, so I was like, oh my God, I have to have wireless up before I go to this office, or else my wife will scream, there's no internet, and I can't keep it.
Yep, you will die.
I know that feeling.
I was tearing this room up, and then I found my solution. Ta-da! A Raspberry Pi. So
yes.
I took a Raspberry Pi and configured it as a wireless access point.
And that is why pie is the most delicious thing ever.
Oh.
Yes, it is. Yummy to the tummy, and it's life-saving, too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
right now, the entire household is running off of one Raspberry Pi.
That is
wireless.
That is awesome.
And that was our positive story for the day.
Now, the lesson of the story, the moral of the story today is take your time, pay attention, read release notes. Don't always assume just because you've done it 1,000 times that it's going to turn out the same way, because it's not. And I found out the hard way. Okay. And there's no G.I. Joe music playing in the background.
Even I think you can potentially still run DDWRT.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
But I like OpenWRT, and we'll get into that later. I like OpenWRT because I like command line. I'm a command line junkie.
Hey, so, if you like Open that much, I mean, you can always write the low levels to port the Br0ken in.
Yeah, this is true. In C and assembler.
Yeah. Have fun.
So check this out. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm going to get back to installation. So as you can see, I've had to select a different mirror because sometimes mirrors don't always work. And sometimes you might just have to select something different. So in this case, as you can see, I selected the FTP Byte Mine net. I thought it said Bite Me at first. But now what I'm going to do is, you see all these X Windows packages? I don't want X Windows. So what I'm going to do is just the -X all. And that will remove all of the X packages. And again, I don't need games because I'm not going to play games. So -G* for all. And that removes it.
Nice.
And these are all the packages that I want, right? So
you
I'm
definitely
done.
want Man64.
So now it's doing an installation over the internet. Boom, getting my stuff. So while that's running, I'll continue to talk about, like I said, with OpenWRT and, its issues and everything else. So OpenWRT is awesome if you're into the command line scene and you just really want to just have some fun at the low level, then yeah, it's fun for you. DDRT, if you want something like at the GUI level, it's great too. So I mean, they're both good.
You can always get lead on OpenWRT, which gives you that GUI. So you can
you do. Yeah, you can, but I'm just saying, if you want more to, go ahead.
No, that's not lead. It's something else.
It's something else. It's Lenny. I don't.
Lenny, yeah, that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. So Lenny. But it's always good to have fun and play around with different things. So that's how you learn from different avenues and how to learn from different operating systems. Trust me, I've installed OpenBSD 1,000 times. Do I need it in the real world? No, but it's always good to know something. Look at operating systems like this, ladies and gentlemen, as from a tool standpoint. Everything that you do on the internet or anything that you use, any server or anything, this is all your toolbox. So if somebody comes to me and say, hey, I need a firewall, do you got a solution? First thing I'm going to think about, OpenBSD. I do have a solution. Now, if they say, I'll back it up. If they say do you have a solution that's paid? Now I got to leave OpenBSD out the conversation. Now I got to look into like a Cisco or whatnot, because I've had experience with Cisco and Juniper. So now the toss up is there. But if they say, hey, I can't afford anything and I need a firewall, I have a solution, a free OpenBSD solution.
And the thing with BSD too, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing with BSD too is in jet airliners, the system that all instruments inside of the cockpit run off of is a derivative and a build off of OpenBSD. And I'm forgetting the name of it, but
Dragonfly.
No, it's not Dragonfly. It's something else. It's like Ferret BSD or something. I don't know. It was some like marmot animal BSD.
What are you talking about? Because there's Dragonfly. He was a platypus.
It wasn't a platypus. I'm gonna look that up. real quick again.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are times where you will either
Darwin.
Hmm?
I was thinking about Darwin.
Yeah, it might be that. I don't remember. It's not an open source build. It is a proprietary build for that airline manufacturers use for their computer instruments inside of airplanes.
Kind of like what Sony uses with PS4. Oops.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, I know that's using BSD. They can't fool me. Only reason I figured it out one time because my PS4 had a glitch, and then it stopped at the free BSD login. That's how I know.
Oh, really?
Yep. And the next thing you know, it showed the login screen. Then it just said click. It did a quick it's like the PS4 knew that its pants were down in public, and it just said, oh shoot, pull them up before anybody sees. But it was too late. I already saw. Yeah.
You got the PS4's nudes.
Literally.
Yeah, I sure did.
I was actually wondering about that. On what PS4 was running off of.
Free BSD.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was wondering if there was or what the like the porting of games, the process behind that, like what it's actually doing and what operating system is it like porting for instead of like basic Windows and Mac. Sometimes you'll have these games that will get ported from Windows Mac environments into consoles such as Xbox One, PS4, and stuff like that. So I was wondering if it was something that you could test in a somewhat similar enough environment, other than using something like an in-engine porter that Unity and Unreal Engine have.
I believe you can. I think you can.
Yeah, Unity and Unreal both have their own porting programs. So when you build out a game, you have the option to build a version of it for an Android phone, an iOS phone, Xbox and PS4. That was a cool little option that I never got to use because we only focused on getting it to run on PC, and at that point it didn't run half the time.
Pretty much.
Like 90% of the time.
Which always makes it fun.
Yeah. It's always a fun little excursion into how computers work.
Speaking of excursion, I got some more Zigbees and TP Links today.
Ooh. Zigbees. I've never... I'm showing my BEE, like in the B, like a bumblebee.
Zig, yeah. ZIGBEE.
Ooh, cool.
I
wonder if they've got RFID stuff because I want to start building that stuff again.
I need to. I was thinking about getting the Hack RF. I've never had the Hack RF. Has anybody used it in here?
Not me.
I've not, but I'm gonna look at it now.
I thought Liz had used it for some reason. I thought he had.
Yeah,
because I do have an SDR radio, but mine's just like the USB one with a little antenna on the side.
Nice.
Oh,
so, and I'll show it to you once the screen goes away. But yeah, So, I replenished on some more Wi-Fi cards. So
you gave me one, so you bought 5.
I know, right? One to bought 5. Yeah, I have a whole bin of this stuff, man.
Yeah, it was really fun. So it was really funny. Charles and I were in the airport after Br0ken, and I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi for some reason because my wireless card was being weird, and I found out it was just an OS issue, Windows. So he pulls out like 5 different Wi-Fi cards, and he's like, "Which one do you want?" Should have taken the alpha. No.
Pull it out. No, I had plenty of alphas, man. You could have got an alpha.
Oh man.
Yeah. I got plenty of alphas.
Just make sure you go with one with the Athros chipset. That's all that matters.
No, they're all Athros.
Okay.
They were all Athros.
Yeah. Like that is the necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I see them, I buy in bulk because I don't know when they're gonna go away. I buy in bulk.
I'm more of a cat person.
Adrian's more of a cat
know.
person.
I'm more of a dog person.
Sorry,
oh yeah. sorry to hear about your boy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thanks.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I've been through that a lot.
It is
Sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, Bernie. I voted for Johnson.
So yeah, now I'm looking for a puppy. If anybody out there has in the Ohio area has like a Rottweiler mix with like a German Shepherd, Doberman, Black Lab, something like that, let me know. But definitely has to be half Rott, at least.
Okay.
I love Rottweilers. I love Shepherds too, but Shepherds just potentially have so many
You know
issues.
what's funny? Like, I guess when my daughter gets older, and that'll be the first dog I ever have.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have.
You never had a dog?
Well, I can see that. He lived in New York.
I've never had a pet in my life. My
Charles,
wife has.
we totally need to go back and read.
I mean, we've had
childhood.
like a little bit. What's that?
I said we totally need to go back and redo your entire childhood.
So I've never had a
You're
dog
gonna be
or a
happy.
cat or anything.
Dogs are awesome.
It is way better with a dog.
Yeah.
My uncle and dad had a lot of hound dogs of varieties. But I grew up with a friend who he had a boxer, which I really liked.
Yeah, foxes are awesome.
Boxer?
Box.
They are. Oh, a box. Like a boxer.
What do you think I said?
I thought you said a fox. Because I used to have a fox in the woods that I would play with. I mean, foxes are freaking awesome.
And some people try to domesticate them, and they've worked on.
You can't. Yeah, like whenever they're small, they're playful, and you can potentially get around them. But once they start growing up and getting bigger, yeah, they're
take multiple generations of breeding to domesticate a fox breed.
Yeah, it would take just a ton.
Right. And so that's my shame plug. I've never grown up with an animal. But
now you get to have that experience with Simone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
There actually are domesticated foxes.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, officially Russia managed to breed them. That's very recent.
Huh.
Nice.
You know what I thought you were about to say? I thought you were about to say furries.
Quick, everybody mute Mary. Don't let her talk.
Run away.
No. But no, but yeah, no, not growing up with an animal. I'm like, oh man. And I see everybody else, they have their like dog, and the dog finds them and they run it away from them, like different stuff like that. I don't know why. I just I guess my parents saw that I guess I was more into video games, so they just got that stuff. Now I did have I guess you could call him a pet, was the NES Rob. Because he played the game. He played the game with me. He was shaped like E.T.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that like this little? Yeah.
Yeah, he played Gyromite. I had a game called Gyromite, and NES Rob was my friend.
See, Charles did have a friend.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, was your dad Rocky Balboa?
No.
Remember how he bought his son in like Rocky 3 or something, Rocky 4, somewhere in there.
Yeah, the robot.
That robot.
That wasn't his son. That wasn't for his son. That was
Rocky
for
4.
No, yeah, that was Rocky. That was Rocky 4, and it was
Paulie. It was for Paulie.
Yeah, it was for Paulie, and he ended up marrying the robot.
Oh yeah.
Happy birthday, Paulie. Happy birthday, Paulie.
Happy birthday, Paulie.
Speaking of that, when does Creed 2 come out? I want to go see that.
Yeah, Creed 1. Yeah.
No. What
What happened?
Adrian, you're barking too loud.
Bedroom now. Go.
Adrian, what happened?
There's some doggies freaking out here because I think Matt's coming home.
Oh, Creed 2's out now.
Oh, it is. First I gotta see.
Oh wait, no. It opens. It looks like November 20th.
Okay, cool. So I've got time to actually see the first Creed because I heard that was really cool.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I have not. I didn't hear about it until Creed 2 came out. Or it was
really?
Yeah, because I thought Creed was like this, like just another fight movie. Like I saw it, and I'm like, oh, it's just another fighting movie. And it's like, no, it's a continuation of the freaking series, but it's your Apollo Creed's kid. And I'm like, oh,
yeah. Holy crap, man. Charles! Your parents actually bought that thing?
What?
That's like straight up. Yeah, that's
the NES, Rob.
Yeah. That had to have been expensive, wasn't it?
I guess it was. I
mean,
don't know.
my parents never would have considered even buying anything like that.
I don't think mine would consider buying that, like now if it came out.
I guess it was expensive. I don't know. I woke up and it was under the Christmas tree.
Aw.
Wow. They're like, oh, Charles, he doesn't have any friends. We'll buy him a robot.
I had plenty of friends. They couldn't. I don't know.
We're not going to let Charles bring any more friends over to the house to play. We'll buy him a robot.
Isn't he?
I'll buy me a robot.
Yeah, he's in Smash Bros. That's why I knew what this was.
He said, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, he's in Super Smash Brothers Brawl, which was for the
younger generation,
for the
high schoolers.
I think that started my addiction to video games right there. And it's Rob.
Wow.
Yeah, because my parent because that was the thing. Once I got the Atari 2600, which I didn't have many games for those, because after the ET, that kind of deterred me from wanting to play anymore. Because ET was an unfinished game that they released.
Oh, but ET, the game that is considered the worst game of all time
ever. Yes.
ET, the landfill filler.
Yeah, I had it for the Atari 2600.
Oh my god!
And I was sitting, and mind you, at the time the TV was my TV was black and white. So, I had that. I had Raiders and the Lost Ark.
Nice.
Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I had Star Wars, Star Trek,
Super Star Wars.
Or I had Burger Time and Super Mario Brothers, or Mario Brothers, it was called.
Yeah, was that Star Wars one Super Star Wars?
I think it was Super Star Wars. Yeah, if I
remember
correctly.
So when EA released Battlefront, and you could buy the PS4 with Battlefront included in it, it also included a bunch of classics, and that was one of the classics that they ported to the PS4.
Oh,
really?
Cool.
Yeah, in a digital copy. Yeah, they also had a bunch of games from when I was growing up and actually 5.
Cappy, you're still growing up. Come on.
Yeah,
that's a grown man.
No. Did you? I don't know if you were here, but I found out that I actually grew 2 inches this year.
You suck.
I know.
And you stink of 12-year-olds.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm 6'5".
I have no words.
Dang.
Only 2 inches, huh? Well, I guess it's what counts.
Kendo, why?
Yeah, but I just say that. Yeah, it's just like, we all grow up, like I said, different walks of life, and you see things like that. Like you said, you guys grew up with pets, so my pets were my games.
There you go.
And some people, I guess it's turned into a career. I don't know, but I wouldn't change it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, that's how we got on this topic of video games, was because PS4 literally their operating system is OpenBSD. So like it comes full circle, man.
Yeah, it does.
It's a circle of life.
Circle of IT.
Yeah, it does. It's a circle of IT. I got my StarTAC Motorola.
Ooh. I don't know what that is. I just made noise to sound like I did.
Wait till you see.
I'm looking up what it. Oh yeah,
is that like the original Motorola chip or something like? No, probably not.
No, I know there was like Motorola.
Yeah,
this is the original one that I have.
Nice.
Yeah, from 1997.
Okay, nice.
Hey, God, Charles, just FYI, you are still showing your screen and not like you if you are holding things up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway,
no, I'm just saying, I didn't know if you were like holding up your Motorola stuff or like trying to show it to the camera.
Yeah, because I know there was a.
Oh no!
I know there was like an original Motorola chip that was used around for like a long time, like back in the 80s or something like that, I think.
Yeah. No, I don't have that.
Oh, okay.
For the Dynatech, probably.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a Dynatech.
But literally a dinosaur phone. It's got Dyna in the name.
Yeah. Only Dyna I remember is Tap, and that was purple, and it's disgusting.
So
I didn't like that stuff at all. I used to have to take that. For my asthma. Well, part of it. Yeah, because growing up, I had asthma real bad, so winters were never fun for me.
Ooh, no.
So I spent a lot of times in hospital.
Gotcha.
During the Christmas holiday.
Hey Charles, how many more gets do we have left after Base 64?
Oh, this is the last one. The biggest one is the Base 64. I mean, we can this is just I was just letting it talk, and this is just I said in labs.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's gonna take another 10 minutes, we may go ahead and let Cappy do his rundown.
Yes, yeah.
And then we can come back.
I'll leave this running. Yeah. We'll circle back
cool.
while that runs. So,
hey, Adrian?
Yes?
Can you change the presenter back over to general or move it over to Cappy and he can do his thing real quick?
Where's Cappy?
Old phone.
Where's Cappy?
Oh, yes.
Where has my Cappy gone? Where could he be?
I said Cappy as the presenter.
All right. Let me just find the article real quick. Oh, it's not an article; it's a README. But the guy should have published this as an article. It's long enough.
Well, we got the Git. We have videos.
Yep. There's a Git and there's a GitHub repo. So disclosed, I think yesterday, there was a 0-day vulnerability of both explaining and showing how in the newest VirtualBox version 5.2.20 and prior versions, there is a way to escape the virtual environment via the network, the bridged network, the network settings inside of VirtualBox itself. So the guy does a really good job of explaining it, and also he has a little bit of a message on why he's doing it this way and not doing it in a way where he's trying to send it out to a bug bounty, or he's trying to work with the with Oracle to get VirtualBox fixed. because and this is kind of important to go over with a lot of the vulnerabilities that have been released like this, and that we've covered before. A lot of these are either getting patched and then released, or someone's looking for a bug bounty and saying, hey, I found this, but I'm not going to show you if the vulnerability actually exists because I want to get a bug bounty for it and I want to get some money out of it. Now, what he's saying is at the end of the day, that ends up adding months worth of time before a patch actually gets out so that users are actually protected from this. So
that's fine. People just won't use people just won't use it. I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I'll chime in.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to chime in on this because it's an issue that we're running into in the age of bug crowd and HackerOne with the bug bounty programs and everything like that. Sometimes they're even just writing off these big vulnerabilities like this where they will get where a researcher will get full like access or something big like this where they're escaping a VM, and the company will just sit on it and either not pay the person or whatever, just sit on it for forever because it's under a NDA this way.
But explain one of the reasons why you may want to escape a VM.
Yeah, so
if you're an attacker.
If you're an attacker, let's say you just concocted the next Eternal Blue malware ransomware thing, WannaCry 2.0 or something like that, and you want to make sure that even if your ransomware is in a virtualized environment, that it will still take over the host and still spread out like a worm is supposed to and not get stuck inside of a VM. You can do that with this now. So guy goes pretty in depth into it and essentially go for it.
Oh no, I was gonna say that what a lame move that he's pulling. Like I get that you want to make the money and everything else. But I just think it's just lame. Like if you found it, just say you found it.
No, he's releasing it saying that it's dumb that you should be trying to find money. You should just release it anyway. That's what he's saying.
Okay, like it's just crazy, like because I don't know. I think I remember Dave talking about this a while back on Twitter, of course, and he was just saying like how it really it's our responsibility. Like if we're gonna put something out there, it should be heavily documented and should be fact. That we've seen some like you've seen the SSH vulnerability of the month.
Yeah, we covered it. We covered it last week, and it was last one that I covered before I had a big move and I was having some issues doing research.
Don't say research, just say issues.
I have plenty of issues.
Exactly.
These guys have met me in person. They know.
Yes. Yeah, he's like 8'5". He's freaking giant.
I'm not that tall,
but he's skinny. He's like a giant hippie.
All right.
I know I can't laugh because I'm not normal either. So anyway.
Well, all of you tower over me, so.
That's true. She's only like 3'4".
What did the dwarf say?
The dwarf said. I can't fit half you in my car.
Well, none of us are normal in this car.
I don't think I can get halfway in that car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, guy goes through it way better than I can. Essentially what he's doing is he's doing an integer underflow attack, and what that is the way that information is stored on your computer. You will have a string of bits, so zeros and ones, and at some point, if the number gets low enough, you get an overflow where there's a sign bit at the front of front or back, depending on your if you're little endian or big endian. Yeah, It depends.
I'm a medium-sized Indian.
And so what happens is, in this case, he's writing to that specific integer location in memory to then flip it from a positive integer to a negative integer. That's why it's called underflow. We're going under 0 at this point, at that point. So that causes an overflow, or underflow, which then he can input his shellcode. If you guys were watching the podcast where Charles went through how buffer overflows work, it's kind of the same concept. Where you're doing that same kind of slide back to that same memory location that you're doing, in this case, an underflow, and then inputting your shellcode there, which he has in full right here. Wait, no, that's not it. In full assembly right about wherever it is here. So this is the shellcode that runs when that slide hits that memory location again. What this actually looks like is right here, and I will make sure. So he's going to run his exploit, which is pretty much laid out in a modular form on the GitHub README, and he's just running that integer overflow to then have a shell run off of there. Now he's not connecting to it here, as you can see, but then he's showing that these are all pretty much the default settings that you get when you open a VirtualBox machine, which specifically looking at this Intel Pro /1000 MT desktop 82540EM.
And even if you don't have an interactive session to the shell, you can pop the shell and then in the same command send through embedded commands to the shell to run.
Right. So if you wanted to say script, in the case of our ransomware scenario, if you were to escape that VM, I just saw what Charles has on screen. That scared me. I looked over I was looking away, and then I looked back, and all I saw was the Freddy thing. I was like, that scares me. Thank you for Five Nights at Freddy's. I now have a stupid fear of stuffed animals. What was I saying? You could then script it out to then pull down from your server that same ransomware and have it run on the machine. And you'll notice that shell does get root it gets user. So then it will run it as the user. But most ransomware that we've seen has been able to just take over and up itself to root or system privileges.
Yeah. But some of the cool things that could be done with this for research purposes, pen testing, where do most security admins detonate malware?
Inside a virtual machine that is hopefully closed off.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Yes. But they're going to have to get the malware on there somehow. So there's going to be a folder share. There's going to be something. They enabled network. They did something to actually get the malware on there in the first place. And then also there are a lot of people who run sandboxes in a VirtualBox environment. So even if it's not just a straight detonation, but they're running it through a more, built out sandbox environment.
Right.
It has the potential of having some. Has the potential to have some potential.
Yeah.
Mean, there's definitely some stuff that can be done with it.
Yeah. So have we seen anything in the wild yet that utilizes this?
No, but I mean, it was just posted 2 days ago, but I guarantee within the next 2 to 3 days, we probably will. But you're not hitting like a SSH stuff on a web-facing server, things like that. You're going to be targeting desktop. So this is going to be probably bigger in phishing and just generalized malware and it'll probably be more targeted potentially.
Yeah, I can see this. I could see this being another facet to the ransomware developers toolkit.
Yeah.
Not so much a super game changer, but because it will take time for us to actually see this, and hopefully VirtualBox and specifically Oracle, who owns them and develops VirtualBox, will get their stuff together and get a patch out.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good about VirtualBox releases. I, not to speak ill of the someday dead, but I'm not a huge Oracle fan, just from an enterprise perspective. But I do still like VirtualBox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a problem with Larry Ellison?
No.
I don't know. My professors have not liked him either. I don't know why, but yeah, I hear he's not a popular guy.
I mean, I don't have anything against him.
Oh, okay.
I just Oracle, all in all, is a behemoth. It sucks in an enterprise perspective, but it's used in most enterprises, and it's just a pain in the ass to work with.
And
like
most
from
web
a
servers.
a sysadmin perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
And most web servers are going to be using MySQL, which is their
Even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use PostgreSQL or
Postgres.
Yeah,
or Maria, which is the same damn thing, just not licensed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Postgres is good, man. I think you should go with Postgres. Postgres
and they have a cute elephant. It's all about the elephant. And I mean, granted too, I haven't used it in probably the last 2 years. It was by far the fastest database architecture, at least up until a couple years ago. I don't know currently, but up until a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Yeah, fun little thing about Postgres and InfoSec is that Metasploit uses it for its loot database and also for its module caching feature, so that you can search through different module exploits, scanners and stuff like that really quickly.
Yeah.
That's why you also always have to do if you're on Kali, system control Postgres start, and then Metasploit will be like, hey, I can use a database, and then it will create the database and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, game changer.
I do have one quick thing we can talk about, unless Charles, unless you're ready to go again. So what? Well, first off, did you guys hear about VMware's acquisition of Heptio?
Did not.
Yeah, somewhat. I've heard about it.
Yeah. Okay. So Heptio is a startup, and the founders were also the founders of Kubernetes.
Huh.
Which is like low-level containerization. And now VMware has acquired them.
About to get dangerous.
Yeah. So guess what? We're probably going to see in the 2-year time frame, maybe sooner, maybe a little longer, but somewhere in that range.
Hyper-V take over host machine.
Well, we're going to see.
No.
I mean, VMware low-level containerization.
Interesting. That's cool from a security perspective.
I mean, but I guarantee they're going to start baking it low level into the product and start containerizing probably even some of their own functionality. Nice. So what are we going to look like here in the future very quick? Because I guarantee they have a roadmap that they're not letting anybody see. But what do you guys think?
Sounds kind of like Cube's OS. I mean, Cube's everything is in its own cube. Like the network card is in its own cube. Everything is in its own cube. It kind of sounds like it kind of be similar towards that.
Yeah, could be.
And that's interesting because a lot of is it the same company that built Kubernetes, or is it just the founders are the same?
The founders. And so these are like the same guys who did some of the original development.
Okay.
And I think the company that they spun off is still works with Kubernetes, but is potentially like on the maintenance and support type of side.
They're kind of fading out the picture.
Yeah.
So Kubernetes is more towards creating clusters of containers.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking, like that wasn't on like my 5-year thought frame at all. And all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
This acquisition occurs as like, oh shit, like we're going to be having some major disruption very, very soon.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be some shifts.
Yeah. If you want to see a Kubernetes engineer completely destroy Docker containers, but by just bash hacking.
Yeah.
I will link that in the show notes because that was a good talk. That his
nice.
Yeah, he just literally like as an engineer, he knew exactly how it could be configured incorrectly.
Yeah.
To the point that he was able to say, "Oh, it's configured like this. I'm in."
Nice.
And he escaped a container to the host as well and got the flag, which was a Bitcoin address.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there were pieces of a Bitcoin address all throughout the talk, and he found like 4 out of 5 before.
Because currently, VMware, if you're looking at it, looks a lot like VirtualBox.
Right.
If you're just a user, though VMware installs like straight to the machine, VirtualBox sits on top of an OS.
Right.
But then you have your different VMs sitting within that architecture.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, once we go down the containerization road, like, wow, you're talking VMware low level. Like what, man? I don't know. Like I think it's definitely going to get very, very interesting here soon.
The main concern that I have with that is in terms of and kind of staying on the same track as this VirtualBox vulnerability is breaking out of that might be easier because with containers, especially on Windows operating systems, they sit on the Hyper-V layer of the machine so that it can interface with the host. And on Linux, it's just sitting right there, right on the host, and running it that way. So if you can somehow interface with the host processes, you can it would probably be easier for you to jump out of it, that container onto the host than it would be to say a VirtualBox environment or a VM.
I mean, it could be. It depends on how they keep up their sec dev and go down that road. But from a like a sysadmin perspective, can you imagine having your VMware environment? You have all your blades, all your everything, and you're no longer talking about having to install a freaking entire OS. There's the potential of you just have your VMware environment and you install your apps directly containerized into your VMware environment.
Yeah.
I mean, you're knocking down the potential of a lot of licensing fees, for your OSs. There could be a lot more security wrapped around because you don't have all the extra crap. You're running this application in this container. If this application is no longer needed, you blow away the container.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you could probably you could probably in a easier form lock down, like say a container's breached, you can just take down, like you said, you can just either take down that container or section it off.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, now you can cluster the apps, I mean, which we could already do, but you still had to cluster the OS too. So now you can potentially cluster the apps. I mean, for sysadmin, containerization will be one of our futures.
Yeah, it's at a point where it can't really go away.
Yeah, I mean,
Docker's got some
if you
good
don't
statistics on this.
Yeah, if you don't embrace it, at some point here, it's going to be
you're going to be done.
Mainframes will be here forever. Yeah, they will, but that's not where everybody's going to be going, and you'll be sitting on the same system for the next 50 years.
Yeah, not so much in the enterprise space.
You'll be reading books like this.
Heck yeah.
Software exorcism.
Well, I don't know how far. I just left for like 5 minutes. I don't know how far away you guys got from like the containerization of different parts of the operating
crazy!
system.
We're talking about China and Russia now.
No, no.
No, I just wanted to say also that Joanna Rutkowska, I think she was the founder of Cubes OS. She is actually leaving. She's working on another project now, so it'd be great to have another project that's working in a similar area of containerization of different parts of the operating system, like you were saying, Israel, with the people who founded Kubernetes. They're getting purchased by VMware. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. The person that's leaving, that you just said is leaving, is she doing an open source project or
a FreeBSD project?
I think from what I remember, she's working on this project that is something like people that have computers can sell their computer time, and like kind of like for cloud computing type of thing, they can get paid for letting other people use their computers. So it's
kind of like Ethereum in a way.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because Ethereum has the same kind of concept, except in the reverse. So you, instead of you saying, hey, you can run your code on my machine and you'll pay me for it. Actually, no, it's kind of the same way. Ethereum does it where you get something called a contract. And that contract can be anything from you processing like votes to running an infinite loop, for all you know.
Well,
some sort of data.
Seriously though, sure, okay.
Yeah, some sort of data set, and then whatever data that you crunch out from that piece of code, then you get paid your shares worth in Ethereum. So that kind of sounds like the same kind of system.
Yeah,
and
that sounds similar.
Yeah. And speaking of sets, my BSD is done. We can share it back real quick.
Throw it back on Charles, and while it's getting thrown back, Adrian, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Can you throw a presentation back over to Charles?
Okay.
And while Adrian's doing that real quick, the other thing, I like to joke about blockchain here and there.
Yeah.
But blockchain really is becoming a credible technology. There is just a shit ton of money going into it from very, very massive players. And it will be a credible force here within the next year to 2 years. I mean, we're going to see a lot of technology evolving off of it.
Right.
And so, containerization and blockchain, that's what we should do. We should containerize the blockchain.
But where's Harry?
Those are going to be two major disruptors here.
Okay.
Very, very soon.
And
you know what else I'm looking at?
Have at it.
What I'm trying to do is just creating a. If I can get it to work, I'll demo it live in BSD Lab.
Yeah.
How to set up a website. So you know how you had LAMP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of that, it could be Lark or something. I don't know. Cryptocurrency. Lurch. Oh, look at that. Lurch. It could be Lurch. And I'm like, what is Lurch? So the back end would be Apache, PHP, and Ethereum as the back end database.
Okay.
Just something wacky.
Yeah.
And if I can get it to work, I'll definitely demo it live in the lab. Because again, and for those of you who are watching, each week I'm going to be demoing something live. So you have questions early in the week before our cast comes up again next Wednesday, please hit our Discord channel.
Yep.
Our Irongeek Discord channel. And any questions that you may have, I'll gladly be monitoring the questions and I'll answer any questions that you have. I don't care if it's software related. I don't care if it's hardware related. I don't care if it's Windows, Linux. It doesn't matter. We're here.
He'll take anything.
Yeah, I'll take anything.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
That'd
be cool to incorporate some of the questions from the Discord channel into the cast or something like that. I'm sure there are a lot of good questions. I'm not too active there, but
yeah,
I definitely will. Because like I said, I like doing this stuff. I like doing labs. I don't care what time of the day or night it is. Hopefully, I'll be coming up with I'll be having the logo soon.
I'm working on it right now.
BSD. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I got a for you.
So go ahead.
Did you ever get around to trying out that program I sent you?
I haven't played. I did not play around with it yet. I really didn't.
Last week you're like, the next thing I'm gonna do, the next thing I'm gonna do, and I'm like, cool.
Let me put that on the whiteboard right now while we're talking about it.
Charles is making it official. It's going on the whiteboard. That whiteboard is so racist.
I will forgive you for not doing it if you tell everybody what the name of it is.
I'm not gonna do it. Go ahead. Let me
can't use that word whiteboard.
Let me finish up okay, how about this? Let me finish up the installation on the black screen.
Cool screen. The whiteboard and the black
screen. So for those of you who watch, as you can see with OpenBSD, it took a little longer because it was grabbing the packages over the internet. This is an installation just over the internet. So once the packages are done and everything's installed, now you can hit done. And of course, time appears wrong. And if you want to correct it, you can. So I just said yes to correct it. Making all my device nodes done. So relinking everything to my unique kernel, which is nothing, just the BSD kernel. I guess it just has to make it mine. Yeah. Yeah. So now, congratulations. OpenBSD has successfully been installed. And I can hit reboot. And then
Charles, while you're rebooting, have you ever had any NIC driver issues? Like, say you were installing to actual hardware. Have you ever had any issues with NIC drivers?
Oh, yes, I have. In the past, yes. Especially in the BSD arena. Linux is not as bad as it used to be.
Well, it's because they throw every freaking driver in the kernel now.
Well, now, but you got to understand, before Ubuntu, they didn't do that.
I know.
So you're saying before 2005, anything before 2005, you had to kind of recompile the kernel to get specific drivers for the NIC card that you were using or sound card or whatever.
Yeah.
Once Ubuntu came out, and I was one of the original beta testers for Ubuntu back in 2005. When you signed up to be a beta tester, they gave you 32 CDs. So I was passing out 32 CDs all across campus.
I only got 16.
Yeah, I had 32. It depends on when you signed up.
Mary, talk again.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
No, but I had 32 CDs and just passing around all over campus. Hey, try Ubuntu, because that's when Ubuntu first came out and everybody was joined hands in a circle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, around the campfire, singing Kumbaya.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yes.
So
you're like, holy crap, we can run this for free.
Yeah. But you know what was cool? But you know what's hot? And I got to the point at that time in 2005, I was a sysadmin. PC Tech. So any student that brought their computer to me and they want me to wipe it clean, I would try to convince them to run Ubuntu.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing, and a lot of them came back were just happy about it. A couple of them actually got into Linux that way because I installed.
Well,
I
remember about
my toy crash.
Yeah, go ahead, Darren.
What?
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying I'm back. My phone crashed.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna.
Israel,
Sorry.
something else about Ubuntu is, yeah, it's free, but, it looks like Windows and has been restricted because we don't fucking trust you. So we're gonna give you the Windows experience because,
well, which is fine.
Like a child.
And yeah, they definitely gave a similar experience.
But here's the thing: it's and I tell people that all the time. There's nothing wrong with, like, if you're starting out with Linux, please start out with Ubuntu. Start out with these the easier distros.
Yes.
Reason being, it's going to prepare you for what you really want. So you get into these easier ones, then you're going to run into people who are like, oh man, you should try Slackware, or you should try and people can say what they want.
You should try Gentoo, yeah.
Yeah, you get that one
thing. He's like, yeah, do Gentoo first. I'm like, no.
I cut my
you don't want to do
teeth
Gentoo
on
first. You don't want
okay,
to.
I cut my teeth on
If somebody,
Slackware. It's not that hard.
No, if somebody tells you that to tell you, if you tell somebody to try Gentoo first, you don't love them. You don't really love them. You really don't.
And if you want to have an enemy and have them despise you, say Arch.
Well, and that's like I was, giving some tips, light mentoring to a guy in regard to getting into the Linux side, and I'm like, just start with Ubuntu, and then start getting comfortable with some of the terminal functions, and going through there. And he comes back like 3-4 days later. So I'm going down, I'm installing Red Hat, and I'm doing like terminal only.
Damn.
And a week later, he's like, I hate Linux. No shit.
Okay.
You did exactly what I told you not to do.
My very first, I think I was Mandriva, SUSE, and Fedora were my first three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Fedora.
Yeah, it was nice.
I think.
Yeah, Fedora. Yeah, Fedora was awesome. Fedora saved my life one day.
He was going to step off the cliff and reached out and caught it.
I had sensors.
I was working at the university, and we had this thing called Blackboard. The students had this thing called Blackboard, and with Blackboard, at the time, teachers could email the students, but the students couldn't email the teachers back. It was weird. It was a bug. It was a bug in the program. So what I had to wind up doing, I created a SendMail relay bridge.
It was a feature,
but it wasn't. It wasn't a feature in the version that they were running at the time. So what I wound up doing to bypass that was I created a SendMail relay for the student email system.
Okay.
To relay their messages over to the teacher, and then the teachers can communicate back and forth.
Nice.
It turned out pretty nice. But yeah, Fedora Core was the bomb.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the bomb, I wanted to show you this real quick, even though OpenBSD is already installed.
Uh-oh.
Now, you see how I created the custom layout? And this is why I say knowing how your disk space is, disk is located. So I'm just going to delete the partition, right? Delete C, delete D, right? Just to give you an example. So when you're creating a disk and you're doing a custom layout, so you would go add, just a simple letter A, or add, and then the first partition is A. So you see where it says you got to know the offset. If you want that to be your offset, fine. I usually select the default, and then you can just choose what size disk you want. So I'm just gonna say 10 gig, right? But file system type, and then the mount point, in this case root. Boom, there's my root mount point right there, 10 gigs. Nice. That's how easy it is to partition the drive. Now, if I want to create a swap, right? So again, B is swap. That's the second. So offset, size, and I'll just say 4 gig, and we know it's a swap. Boom, There you go. There's your swap. And that's how it gets partitioned. So then when you want to quit, you just do a write. Like it's like
Vim.
It's like Vim, yeah.
Like it's like
or VI or whatever.
Yeah.
So, VI, Vim.
That
yeah.
Well, and it is. But the thing that hooked me, that stopped me from using Linux for the first couple of years, was there was no real sane guide to what you were doing. I mean, yeah, the commands are simple, but why is this a root? Why is there a swap? And the logical whys behind the way you partition a drive was voodoo. Somebody came and did it for you, and you accepted it, and you were grateful. There was no real concise explanation for it, and that put me off for a long time because I kept screwing up my installs.
Yeah. But you know what? The book helped. You know what book helped me, and I don't know if it's still around. It's called Running Linux by O'Reilly. Running Linux.
For that because
what's that?
I said I was hoping to hear that you had a suggestion for that because that was the number one thing that turned me off of Linux. This is ages ago, but I was like, I spent the better part of a week trying to partition a drive, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to Windows. I got to get work done.
And also too, Adrian has to take me off presenter though, and I'll show you the book that helped me become a better system administrator. Let's see if I can take me off presenter, and I'll show you the book. I still have this book to this day. This is from 2004.
The Hacker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nope. You'll see in a second.
I have to say the main thing that turned me off Linux was I couldn't get to start the
here we go.
VNC service.
The what service?
The sheet restarted. VNC.
Okay.
I love VNC.
See this book right here? This is from 2004.
Oh yeah.
Central System Administration. This book, as you can see, the pages are worn.
What is it? What is it talk? What did you learn?
I read the entire book.
Damn.
How to be a Unix system administrator. This teaches you Unix system administration. It goes through SynMail, how to set up and configure SynMail, Postfix. It goes into setting up a DHCP server, DNS server, proxy squid, IP table.
Nice.
And the number one message that I got from this book: system administration is a thankless job. Nobody understands. Nobody knows. Yeah, that's what it says in the book. Yeah. System administration is a thankless job, and nobody recognizes the train until it's late.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was in chapter 1 of that book. I still remember that to this day. I read that book. Oh, this book also teaches you how to configure SLIP, TPP.
Nice.
So, I knew that ages ago.
Between that and
I had to learn how to code that crap because our modem bank was literally a slab of plywood with like 200 modems like glued to it.
What?
Gotcha.
And that
literally, like, I'll never give up that book. That book taught me so much.
Oof.
I don't know. What sucks right here is that I can't get Matt to come in. It's not even like inside out.
Matt, get in.
Hot damn! Look how white Charles's teeth are.
Well,
holy crap! Charles, I wish I could get my teeth as white as you.
Oh my god!
That looks scary now.
We have a fixed news, urgent news alert. Alaska broke away from Canada and floated down and overtook Hawaii, and so they are now a purple state. And we're back down to 49 states again.
No, do you see, Mary? This is awesome. No, I'm looking at her screen right now.
Yeah, it does look good.
Wait, are you there's a video where Alaska does that. It's called "The End of the World."
It's the end of the world.
Nah, Alaska.
I am tired. We'll take a nap and then launch the missiles.
No, Alaska is now planning on invading Australia. Because that's what the new state's called, Alaska.
But first, it's time for a nap.
Yes.
Internet knowledge that will get me nowhere, but I still remember.
But you know something? And I'll give them a shout. And I don't know, they might be listening to Cyberland, or somebody might be listening for them. I want to give a shout out to Daryl Nielsen. Daryl made me a better Unix engineer. And why I say that is when I got to Northrop Grumman, I was 28 years old, and I worked with guys that have been doing it for like 20 years with Unix. And I mean, it was just amazing. And they taught me the true meaning of Unix engineering. We used every aspect of Solaris. My daughter's crying.
Oh no, someone's crying.
Aw.
Come here.
Oh, that's just Charles. That's not really Simone. She doesn't cry. That's Charles.
You know what's scary when you think back about this sort of thing, though, is that you think about those who mentored you and taught you everything, and you sit back and you realize, holy shit, I'm at the age now where it's my turn to take somebody on.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the purpose of me. And again, that's the purpose of me doing these labs. That's the purpose of me getting on this cast. That's the purpose of me going to different conferences and talking to people, and then I'm all around just trying to help.
That reminds me, Crash, just as you were seeing my program up on your whiteboard. And I said, I forgive you for not getting to it yet if you tell people what the name of it is. And just as you were about to say it, my phone crashed.
What is the name of this thing? I don't know if this is...
Dog juice.
What did you do?
The program I sent you to look at, it has a very specific name.
Hold on.
Knowing AP, it's something crude and unusual.
Yes.
No.
Simone should not be.
Not dog. No. Donkey ball suit.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh my gosh.
That's what it was.
And wait, what does this program do?
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise, of course.
I can tell you what it is if you want, or you can wait until he gets a hold of it and gets the big surprise.
Is it anything like lemonparty.org?
No. It was inspired by Lemon Party, but not. It has nothing to do with it directly.
Okay.
Is that a Hello Kitty sticker on your headphones there, or is that Hello Kitty headphones?
Oh no! This is my GitHub. I like GitHub.
Nice.
Cat.
It looked like Hello Kitty.
No, it's GitHub. No, I'll get a Hello Kitty though eventually for her. Hi, kiddo.
I'll see if I can.
Hey.
Was interesting when you guys were talking about when you guys started out with Ubuntu and how Charles, you were like a beta tester for it back in 2005.
Yeah.
My first inclination with Linux, or like in interaction with Linux, was 2 years after that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when I was like 11 or 12, or like 12 or 13.
Look at that.
Charles, when did you get into Linux?
When did I get into Linux?
Yeah, what year?
Oh, 99.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but like Ubuntu.
But Ubuntu was 2005.
Yeah, Ubuntu specifically. I remember just my Windows machine crashed, so my dad just gave me an Ubuntu box, and I was like, "What in the world is this?" And now I just skyrocket into 10, 11 years later. Now I'm working exclusively on Linux at my job. So there we go.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
All of it just straight Debian, which is nice.
Yep. Real quick, Adrian, do we have a weird group of the week?
No,
I love the
it could be liberals.
Oh, we haven't had
Hey, all I can say is I went to a coffee shop today. I had a blue-haired barista. I'm just leaving that there.
You did?
I did.
I find it weird that there was a comment. Infosys linked to some guy who mentioned what's the term for weird hair colors being assigned someone's toxic.
Yeah, that's in nature.
Oh, Mary said not to do this shit. There's other people who saying they wouldn't judge someone based on. There's some things you can tell about somebody based on their presentation.
Yeah, it's not just hair color. It's stature. It's multiple items.
If you see someone wearing a haircut, which I like to call the Technicolor of Richard Spencer, it's probably a pretty bad sign that you're not going to get along with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I agree there.
I describe that as CMYK cut hair.
What does that acronym stand for?
Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. CMYK. It's actually a color printing standard.
Nice.
But you see the hair, it's like CMYK. Like you have like that radioactive blue hair color. Like that's like saying nature's way of saying stay away.
Which is the color space this is being developed in right now. That's the color. See right here, up here, and it's the CMYK preview space.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, for once something an acronym for was not dirty. You couldn't see it. It was the first time ever.
What a surprise.
And we can confirm Mary is not doing SJW development.
Mary's doing an awesome job. I'm looking and I'm like, what?
She's doing a Charles development.
Yeah. That's a special project.
Okay. So, we've hit the majority of the show notes. I'll quickly go through the further reading. And then we actually have a little bit of extra time tonight. So if we want to do some live chats, we can. It'll be up to Adrian.
We will answer any questions. We will answer any questions that you have. Anybody that's out there on the live chat right now, if you have any questions, we're here to answer.
So I'll hit the further readings real quick. So we do have a Cisco 0 day. It's a wireless 0 day that's being attacked actively in the wild. I have that up. It's a Qualys article. I have that on the notes. We have a port smash POC that's bypassing. What was the port smash one? That's hitting CPU side and getting past there. We have SSD hardware-based encryption bypass, and then I just added this one because people started popping on my Twitter feed because I posted it. So U.S. Cyber Command plans to start loading unclassified foreign malware up to virus total. So, those that they still find sweet and juicy, they're still going to keep those. But those that are not as sweet and juicy, they're going to start uploading all of those that they're seeing in the wild up to virus total. That could actually cause a significant positive to a lot of businesses, as well as a lot of the straight AV guys, because a lot of those do look to virus total either as a primary or a secondary lookup service. So still not protection at all, but it helps.
But you've got gangrene, you're going to lose your leg, but at least you know it's gangrene.
Exactly.
It's all part of getting it out in the out for researchers to figure out and pick it apart to figure out how to stop it.
Exactly. So we're gonna open it up. Anything you guys want to talk about? If any of you guys on YouTube have any questions, comments, let us know, and we'll open up to essentially like live back and forth. So have at it.
I will say one thing. Upcoming here, I will be at.
Say two things. Say two things.
Two things.
Thank you.
I will be at what is it? SecKC, I think.
Security Kansas City?
Yeah, Security Kansas City. I will be going to Security Kansas City in the next week here. Gotta get my ticket for that. So if you're in the Kansas City area and you want to come like just hang out, meet up, there's a pretty good talk there on how to get into InfoSec. I haven't seen the talk yet, but it looked interesting. Looked like a good starting point for a lot of people that want to get into InfoSec, kind of like a roadmap to say like, hey, this is how in a general form you could get into InfoSec, but there are many ways into it still, as there is in any job.
And two, if you go and you're looking through the crowd, just look for the guy that's like 2 foot taller than everyone else who looks like a hippie. And you'll find Cappy.
I think finding the guy that looks like a hippie is a better one because I'll be with my coworkers and they're all like a few of them are pretty much my height.
We have a question from Dark Owl. We have a question from Dark Owl. Dark Owl wants to know, shot in the dark here, best place to buy soldering tips outside of eBay and Amazon. I would recommend, it depends on where you live. I know in Northern Virginia, if you live in anywhere in Northern Virginia, go to Micro Center.
Yeah, Micro Center is good.
Yes.
Well, Micro Center's all over the country.
Okay, it's all over the country. Okay, so
not West Coast. We have Micro Center more like East Coast, and then man, what was the one? Because they.
Yeah,
who is
Fry's
it?
is on the West Coast.
Yeah,
Fry's, Electronic Fry's.
Fry's is really downhill. Seriously, I got a problem here locally, and
there's another one.
Anything in the artsy stuff.
But no, they have Micro Centers out towards the Midwest too, because we've got at least 2 here in Texas. I know.
There's a Micro Center in Ohio.
They're
closest. And I believe there's one in Chicago. I think those are our 2 nearest Micro Centers. There might be one in Kentucky, but I need to double check because it'd be like Lexington or some shit.
But they do delivery, so if you don't, you can order from the web store and they will ship it to you too.
Yeah, because it was like CompuServe, not Circuit City, but there was a store here.
It's only in Canada now.
Yeah,
we're gone.
Yeah, they had whatever the store was. They used to have a lot in the Columbus area.
Nobody beats the Wiz.
And no, not that one. That's Seinfeld. But they shut them down. And they essentially made an agreement with Micro Center. So Micro Center essentially had like, everything east, and then it's not CompuServe. It's like, dang it, I can't remember who it was, but they got like West Coast.
CompUSA, are you?
CompuSA, yes.
Yeah, no, I think they're gone.
Oh, did they shut down?
I think they've been gone for a while now, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
because back in like 2001, 2002 range, like they made this massive agreement with MicroServe. Crap, I just forgot whatever they're called.
Micro Center.
Yeah, Micro Center. That Micro Center would be like east and they would be west. But really, they shut down.
As far as I'm pretty sure CompUSA has been gone for like at least 8 years.
Yeah, not more.
Yeah, sorry.
I still say if you want to support the scene, Adafruit. Go to Adafruit because you can not only pick up the soldering irons and the tips, but a hell of a lot of projects to make with it.
I was about to bring up Adafruit. I was just forgetting the name of it.
I just picked up a soldering iron and everything too for a project didn't happen.
They have miles of not only documentation, but they've got a really good community. So if you're like, hey, how come my solder joint just turned orange? Why? They'll have a good answer for you.
Hey, shout out to Ryan. Me and Ryan work together. That's my homeboy. Comp USA did shut down in 2007.
Okay. Yeah, so they didn't make it.
Do you think Element 14 would have stuff on their site or not?
Which spot?
What's that?
Element 14. I think they're a site for what do they do? They do like all different types of tech stuff.
Are they like more so hardware hacking?
I bought Raspberry Pis from them.
Yeah, I think they are hardware hacking. I forget the name of the guy that does it. Something Heckendor, Ben Heckendor. He has a YouTube channel. They might be a good place to look at. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of a
cool
aggregator. So they've got all the stuff coming from like Adafruit and stuff like that. So if you need a specific thing, they'll show exactly.
You know what else is a good place? You know what else is a good place to check out? SparkFun.
SparkFun as well. Yeah.
Alibaba. If you're ordering in quantities of 5,000.
Maybe, but I mean, hey, you never know what you're trying to do.
Never know when you're gonna get some new wireless cards because you gave one away and now you need 500 more.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, it's something about the wireless cards. Those are like cookies.
Yeah, once you have one, you can't have enough.
You can't just have one. They're like Lay's potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Ryan made a good point. You can also get soldering tips from places like Home Depot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that.
Depot.
You got to be careful with that because Home Depot will use soldering tips that are made for soldering pipe, copper pipe, and they won't know the difference. They won't know that you're trying to do wire or something. So be careful you're not buying your soldering tips in the plumbing aisle.
That's true. I actually went and bought flux from there for some soldering, and it was actually flux for like plumbing or something like that instead of flux for soldering.
And the people who work there don't know a damn thing. They can find their ass with both hands at a hunting dog.
That's right. Also, too, I mean, old school. If you still have a Radio Shack, like,
oh my God,
I'm pretty sure
they are hard to find, but they do still exist. Oftentimes they will still have that.
Some Radio Shacks are more in the pitching electronics. Some of them still stock components. The ones that stock components are unfortunately the rare ones.
Yeah, they're very rare. I mean, it's hard to find a Radio Shack anymore.
I mean,
but
if you're
find one,
if you're really lucky like us, you have an old school electronics store like we have in Bloomington, and you can get everything, and they will order everything.
Everything.
Really nice soldering tips, but you have to be there between 8 and 5 because they're regular business.
Where is this, Mary?
There's one in Bloomington off of Walnut Street. If you guys come to Hackers on the Farm, we'll take a day trip up there.
Nice.
And but too, like you said, that's just like an old school,
it's an old school
generalized electronics place.
They have everything.
Yeah. And two, a lot of those still exist. You just got to look for them. A lot of them still exist in, even the big cities, but they're here and there in the smaller towns. It's just nobody knows about them. You got to look for them. There's not a lot of advertising. They're not heavy on the internet, but they're still out there.
And for those across the pond over in Europe or on
China, Russia, the place Cappy likes.
I don't know. Okay, whatever.
Hey, where you buy your stuff from?
What?
Alibaba.net. That's where you get your Chinese stuff from.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, because we were talking about like the home.
He goes to Alibaba.ru.
Oh God. Anyway, since we were talking about those home cook shop or like those homebrewed shops where it's like the one that Mary's talking about around Europe, there are a lot of those. It's more so kind of that kind of you'll find more of those establishments around. I found one because I ran into my boss when I was running errands downtown, and while I was in the Netherlands, and he showed me this place that's been around since the 80s, and it is the coolest place that I had seen. I literally almost bought like 4 Raspberry Pis from there.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. The guy was a really cool dude. Got to talk to him a little bit, and he had everything that you could think of off of like if you went to Adafruit, you literally saw everything that was on the online store in the store. Wow. And more, because he found more stuff.
That's awesome.
Okay, so just FYI, apparently Twitter thinks the Cyber Command stuff is a very big deal. I posted it at 8 p.m. Granted, I'm an aggregator, so all my stuff posted it at 8 p.m. And for me, this is a lot. I have 21 likes, 11 retweets, which is kind of crazy for my stuff.
Well, what the hell did Command do this time?
Yeah. If you didn't hear it earlier, U.S. Cyber Command, they're going to start uploading foreign APT malware to Virus Total. Yeah.
Okay.
And everybody is, I mean, it's actually, for my Twitter feed, it's blowing up. Yeah. I was on Twitter like 10 minutes ago, and I went back, and all of a sudden, holy crap, like I have a shit ton of notifications, so, and it's all that.
Did you post this at 8 your time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, beef.
Nice. All right. Any more questions from the audience? Please keep them coming.
Yeah.
We'd love to answer questions.
Boom.
Because I'm gonna get cool conversations like this. And I almost just fell backwards in my chair.
You know, this is gonna be my idea here. We should have like an automated question box, like you can email it or do a web form, and that way we can read them off.
That's a good idea.
Because that's a lot easier than having them like tune in and send questions live, you know.
Right.
So then I can anonymously ask stupid questions. That's awesome.
You would just have to prefix them with Gendo.
Hey, if you don't go through like 2-3 proxies, we're still gonna find your ass.
So the biggie in what?
7 proxies or nothing?
Virtual machines deep, so.
Joke's on you! I'm behind 7 proxies.
I just found out an old professor of mine passed away.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Glenn Mason. He was a geology professor, but one of the last classes I took at IUS before I got my bachelor's degree was paleontology. It was about dinosaurs, essentially. This one was, and yeah, apparently he was only 66. Shit.
Sorry to hear that, Adrian.
Man.
He was a nice guy, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that is pretty young.
IUS, I would piss on the grades, but Ben Mason's a pretty cool dude.
Damn.
I gotta say, you surprised me there. I didn't think I never met a tech guy who was into paleontology.
I love dinosaurs since I was a little kid.
I think illustrious Nightshade Mark, he's sometimes on the cast. He follows this channel on Twitter, which is like basically about animals that no longer exist, but like the cool ones, and they post photos of them and stuff like that. It's actually pretty interesting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they had a millipede that was like 9 feet long or something like that. Man, that's like out of a nightmare. Serious.
I'm kind of
wasn't that during the Carbophonaceous period?
Yeah, maybe, I have no clue, but yeah.
Spiders the size of cats.
I'm kind of glad they aren't around anymore.
Well, they couldn't exist in modern day times because of the amount of oxygen. Those period, if I understand correctly, there's more oxygen in the atmosphere than there is now, and the respiratory system of various types of invertebrates isn't that efficient for processing.
You are correct.
The air, they can get bigger than what they could now.
Yeah.
Who last week?
Oh, I like that font. I like the one on top.
Which one?
That's what she said last night.
The one on the side?
Yeah, on the side, the top on the side, right hand side on the top.
Okay, this
The kind of digit or like
Right
the
there,
Sega style font.
Right there.
Hold on.
I did that
sorry.
font.
Like the digital something.
Well, I was going through all of my digital ones because I have a whole. I believe this is not the first time I've done this with computer people, so I have like.
Oh boy, does she have funds.
Oh, I have fonts out the ass.
How'd you install them there?
How do you get them?
Good news, it's a suppository.
System that makes it easier to reach.
All your assholes.
It's a suppository.
Oh shit, man.
Anything's a suppository if you're brave.
Okay, create out like that's what you want. And what I want to do is make this into a sticker because
That's
you know.
what she said last night.
Yeah. Okay. Stickers on laptop.
Oh my god. I just had a coughing fit. Thanks, Gendo.
Anytime.
Please no. Specific times when I'm like prepared.
You're just gonna work on that gag reflex. You'll be fine.
Anything's a
Oh
suppository.
my gosh.
I just can't wait till you put this logo online and like all the Kingsters come laughing and come running to see you.
There. Okay. Is this okay?
Charles.
Charles.
That looks cool.
It looks good.
It does.
I need more case stickers. We've thrown another case sticker on there. Who else got a logo?
What does he have on his laptop?
Oh, wait, this is for fucking BSD. Where's the BSD logo? Give me a second.
Yeah, I just want a Nerve logo.
I did one for you. Remember, I did it live on freaking Twitch, and I have it as a vector. And then
I want it for my the new rack in the shed because I just put the knots in there.
We're looking forward to seeing your new rack. We've been looking forward to that for a while.
It is huge.
Oh my god.
Huge rack. You're welcome.
Huge rack.
That old rack.
Yeah, I heard that old rack. I mean, was getting kind of heavy and sagging. I mean, we've really been looking forward to it. Yes.
Once got me into a world of trouble. And it was technically related, but some friends of mine were talking about strip clubs. And they wanted to go to one, during DEFCON, and I said no. And they're like, why don't you want to go to a strip club? And I said, well, if I want to sit around looking at overpriced silicone I can't take home with me, I'll go to Fried.
That's right.
Silicone versus silicone, guys.
I got slapped for that by a stripper.
Best.
Hey, that action was free. You'd have to pay more for less.
Ooh, good point.
Best pass
Good point.
ever.
Gosh.
Okay, anything else for tonight's cast?
Oh, we're done with the show notes.
Sorry for breaking out for a bit there.
No, it's all good. Looks like questions have kind of stopped.
Simmered down.
I'm assuming the 9 people watching are the 9 people that are in the cast watching the chat.
We're all totally engrossed in this logo creation.
This is why I Twitch stream.
This is why everyone should Twitch stream.
Everyone Twitch streams like, wow, this is so cool. Like, okay, yeah, and I'll discuss how I'm doing it too, because that's what I do.
Brian Krebs released an interesting article on sim swappers recently.
I saw that. That actually looked interesting.
And it featured interesting things such as the third backdoor into T-Mobile's customer database network published this year. Publicized this year, but yes.
So their third one this year is what?
Yes, as in there have been 2 previous cases have come to light earlier in 2018 about people having privileged access to T-Mobile's customer database when they shouldn't.
It's like the third eye.
Is their security department like dead or something? It's just a room full of skeletons.
Did anybody catch the news story? I was the FCC said to the MITS carriers, do something about robo-dialing spam calls or else, and people basically laughed at them and said, or else what?
Yeah. What? Yeah, we'll change our number. Okay.
I remember the do not call list seemed to work for like about 10, 15 years. Anymore, I get shit from all sorts of people. I mean, I got callers from, I get a lot of the Indian, this is Microsoft support.
Yeah, do not call does not work well when their callers are outside the U.S.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
No jurisdiction.
Fuck either. They just keep calling you.
Well, yeah, messages from the Democratic Party for some reason.
You know how to fix that? The FCC just needs drones.
We had a out here in Vegas, and they start out with, if you want to be on the do not call list, press 9, and you still get them anyway. It's just like...
No. Pressing 9 confirms you're a human being, and therefore should be put on all the call lists.
Yeah. You don't answer those shit at all.
What you should do is, if you can, do a pick up and hang up, because it shows your number is not live. Basically, as far as they can tell, it's a dead number.
It used to be easy. You put
they're fucking spoofing local numbers.
Yeah.
So I have resumes and shit out for jobs locally, and I don't know if that 812 number is going to be, an actual person or if it's going to be one of these fuckers.
Oh, I've
had a guy call me twice saying that somebody from this number called him about something. I'm like, no.
Yeah, they go through legitimate numbers. The same things happen to me.
Well, they spoof it. Yeah, I get that all the time, which doesn't work for me because my caller ID is back in California, and I'm like, I don't live there anymore. So if you're calling from a local number, I know that you're full of shit. So I basically set all numbers, even with my area code, to automatically voicemail.
Hey, Mary, I like that.
Oh yeah, there you are.
There is also a story I read a while back where I had a guy who basically leased a bunch of lines, and he found out where the call center was, and he call bombed it. By
I saw that.
Bless that guy. That is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, he basically shut him down for like a week and a half.
That was amazing.
He deserves a fucking medal.
There was another.
Go
ahead. I think mine's probably longer. You go ahead.
Say what you want to do is learn some good words in Hindi, like Maharshad, which literally means motherfucker. and use them.
Some are Pakistani.
That doesn't matter. A lot of them will speak Hindi. So you call him Maharshad or Siddharshad, which means pig fucker. Oh yeah, pisses him right the fuck off.
That is awesome.
I think my Indian neighbor taught me that, which was why it sounds familiar to me.
I did want to point out that Caprico did just say that his was longer, and nobody said one word about it.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for that, and now I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
And no, I swear you just lost parents on the internet for missing that one.
Well, I got to figure out how to insult people's mothers in multiple languages. So
What?
Oh, so what I was going to talk about was I saw. So every once in a while, I'll look up like people taking down call centers or just screwing with those fake tech support scams. And this one guy, he sent malware over his line to the call center and basically wormed it. He basically built a worm that took over all of their Windows machines. and then deleted System 32.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, when you delete System 32 from Windows, it's still running. It can still run until you reboot it.
Yeah.
So he's on the phone with them saying, I just deleted System 32 on all of your devices. I can show you exactly where you guys are based on the IPs that I just did. You guys are scammers and you guys are pieces of shit. And the guys on the other end, they're like, no, they're running fine. And I started laughing my ass off so hard because like not until you reboot it.
They deserve to rot in hell. They tried to get a recently widowed family friend, and they also got my parents and had a fun week trying to undo their crap.
Oh God, yeah, I've had clients with that. They scammed a little old lady out of $400, and it took me a week to clean her computer.
Yeah, I've tried to have phone sex with those people before.
Thankfully, I think somehow they might have had some conscience because they did not actually worm the recently widowed family friend. They got her to install a rat, but it wasn't. They didn't lock her out of anything, and when she refused to pay, they didn't do anything to her.
Yeah, they're so bad.
My parents, though, they fucking locked the registry and that.
Like you start talking about having an OS2 box or a Linux box.
Oh wow!
Confused as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
The access. I don't see how even like a jamming back to people live. How should we fall for it?
Charles, I can't hear him.
Yeah, Charles, your kid wants to participate in the cast very much.
Simone is so active.
No one hates the scammers. Oh, sorry.
I don't
hate the
scammers though because they're so fucking terrible accent-wise, and it's so bad.
The way my parents got caught in it was, my mother was Googling something, and she clicked on the first link on Google. Which opened up a bunch of pop-ups, and one of them said, "You're infected with pornographic malware. Call Microsoft tech support right now at this phone number to fix it."
Crap! Not again.
And
Liz is out of the house now.
So
God damn, Grandma, stop looking at dicks.
So my mother asked my dad, who's a bit more tech savvy, like, what to do about this. My dad said, "Oh my God, pornographic malware." He called this number right away.
It's not just malware.
And then I get a call, and he on the second phone he has, and he puts me like a speakerphone to talk to this Indian person of Indian accent. And the moment I said, "Dad, can you please take me off a speakerphone?" The guy locks the registry and shuts off the computer.
What a douche.
Thankfully, he was panicked and did not delete the backup.
Good.
That was
nice.
Yeah. I forget what it's called specifically when they lock the registry on Windows.
Yeah, I remember one of these guys I pissed off because I referred to him as an Indian scammer, and he said, "I'm Pakistani," and I'm like, "What's the difference between an Englishman and a Frenchman?" And they did it wrong.
I don't think that the what is it? I think is it Pakistan and Indians don't like each other?
No, they do not.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Pakistan is majority Muslim. They broke off from India after India gained its independence from Britain.
Okay.
India is majority Hindu.
Now, Liz, did they actually lock the registry, or did they remove the ability to run EXEs?
They locked the registry, as in you boot the computer, you have to put in a password, or else you're not booting.
Yeah. So there is
Sisky. That's what it was.
Yeah, because I encountered that in the past, and
the first time I'd ever encountered it.
Crap, that was like 10 years ago, and there's definitely you got to boot into a Linux system, and
I live booted it, and
and attach Windows on, but you can get clear that out.
But it would have been a much bigger pain in the ass. So they would have had to reinstall stuff if they had deleted the backup registry, and I didn't want to do tech support for all that as well.
Oh, if you ever do encounter that in the future and they password protect it, it'd take me a second to find it, but you can get past that.
Nice.
It's freaking Windows. But you can get past that, and you can boot straight back into the regular registry and fully unlock it.
Well, I without using a backup registry?
Yes. Yeah, because I had to do that because that's the exact same thing that hit my ex's friend. It was probably 10 years ago. She got a phone call, she gets on with tech support, and she goes down that road, and they locked it out. And so I was able to do a bypass and was able to get past it. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, not thinking about it. The family friend who ran into these people also found it the same way. It was, except in this case, she had clicked the top link in Google, went to an Hewlett-Packard lookalike website when she was looking to fix her printer, and then that's where they got the number.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in both these cases, it sounded like they were the same people. It was like a woman with a U.S., like a clearly an American accent, and then followed by, when she was passing it off, to some guy with an Indian accent.
Yeah,
that's
one I've never actually seen that like fully automated yet. I've always seen that so far as a human interaction. Like them actually going in, changing it, like once they're on the system. So did they automate it once you?
No, what they did was like they tried to keep up the theater, pretending they were worked for Microsoft.
Yes.
And they said, and they pretended to like ask, like they kept going to the theater. It's like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and install this and this and this. Is this okay with you?
Yeah.
Like they made it sound as if my parents actually had any control in the matter after they installed the rat.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, because I've never seen, like, I'm surprised, because that would be an easy one to like ransomware out potentially, and I've never seen anybody like fully weaponize that.
They did try to do ransom, but it wasn't ransomware.
Yeah,
but they did try to ransom for the password.
Yeah, and that's what they did with the girl that I helped out back in the day. So, but yeah, definitely, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just watching Charles and Simone.
Yeah, Charles and Simone are over there like headbanging now. She's looking at him like he's crazy.
Aww.
Oh, yeah, she's like live. Yeah, she's shaking her head.
Said I just don't know about my daddy. I don't know.
I'm not baby dad. I'm singing from a song.
When parents say you get it back in the form of your kid, they ain't never lie.
Uh-huh. Yep, she definitely acts just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Charles, you know it is. What time is it? It's 9:47. You need to get that girl to bed.
Dude, she went to sleep early, and now she is like live, like it's 1995.
Nice. She's probably like 1999 though.
Should have a podcast where it's just Ethan and Simone just talking to each other. That would be hilarious.
I know. That would. They'd be like, put you on the phone.
Yeah, I gotta get back home on a Wednesday at some point here. Eventually, I will. Give me about another month. It should happen.
Another month to be home on the Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like hoteling it up.
No.
Yes.
He's reaching for my laptop. Oh my god, girl!
Ooh, BSD.
You know, if we have nothing else, we should probably end the stream.
Yeah.
I have one question, actually.
How about it? What's up?
My question is: so, what are like the most common or most successful ways of exploiting a system? Like, is social engineering up there? Phishing? Like, is it more so like technical?
Number one always will be physical access.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, it's physical access. But if you can't get physical access, then the next step would be like some type of social engineering, so they can get that level of physical access.
Yep. Social engineering is fairly successful, I guess, if you have like a large enough a body of people that you can try to exploit, then at least one person will.
I'm sorry. What was the original question though?
The
Like,
easiest way to exploit a system or to get into a system, essentially, what is the easiest way to get?
Are we saying just one system or a company though?
Yeah. What is the most successful way of exploiting a system? Is it social engineering? Is it like a technical exploit type of thing? Is it
I mean, because if we're only if we're only talking one system, yes, physical. If we're talking multiple systems, the by far best entry point is going to be phishing.
Oh, okay. Because I heard that is fairly like, I mean, I just listened to you guys talk and stuff like about that.
Yeah.
That you guys have your own phishing campaigns within the company. It sounds like people, fall for the phishing campaigns quite often. So internally, so I imagine they do the same thing externally. So it sounds like that it's a good way to infiltrate a company by doing phishing attacks.
Yeah, nothing makes you feel better than like walking into a company just for a first-time evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
The post-it note with your secretary's desk while you're standing there waiting to be introduced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The post-it note goes so freaking far.
Yeah.
It's like that's why again, the thing is, physical access will always be the number one easiest, fastest way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you go down the other routes, but the thing is that social engineering is not. I mean, that's not narrowed down to just buffooning people.
Mm-hmm.
The post-it note under the keyboard, pretending to be somebody you're not, walking up to the loading dock. Hey, Jack, I gotta get on the computer. What's the damn password?
Using social engineering to get physical access to it, like say a data center or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Conning your way into past security, basically.
Yeah. The greatest threat to security, or to information security, is people.
Okay, so not just social engineering, but like physically going in and doing social engineering type of thing.
Yeah,
and
not so much.
Honestly, one of the very, very best times of the year to go and socially engineer, and I have buddies who have done this. Actually, there's 2 times a year. So, like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, is an amazing day. Most of HR is going to be out. IT director, whoever in IT leadership, most likely will probably be out, as well as like the week in between like Christmas and New Year's. Like a lot of the leadership will be out, including HR.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go into a company, you're being onboarded, and this has to be a sizable company. You're not going to do this with the mom and pops and like small guys. It needs to be a company where it's at least like 30, 40 plus IT guys.
Yeah.
And you're coming on as a new service desk guy. And especially if you have OSINT them good enough and you know that they are using like they bring on like contractors initially for positions and then hire to FTEs. Such and such sent me over, whoever they're working with, contractor side, sent me over. I'm the new help desk guy, and I'm supposed to be starting today. You got the guys who are like calling the shots. They're not there, and most likely nobody's going to call them because they're on vacation. They are not to be contacted. Oftentimes.
What kind of information and what kind of damage are we talking? I mean, like, am I just getting like a user login to be able to log into the system? But really, I'm kind of shuttered. I don't really
never know. I mean, especially if you're going on help desk, a lot of companies will just be like, okay, help desk, okay, domain admin.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it all depends on the infrastructure.
You could potentially sit down at your workstation that they have now assigned you with domain admin.
Yeah, and if anything, getting physical access is its main objective is to either find a way to get a foothold in so that you can later come back from another external location and then go through either just getting to Active Directory or getting root or
Yeah,
domain admin and root and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
but even if they don't give you like domain admin, you can find an empty cube or desk there and plug in, a Pineapple or a Pony Express, and there you go. You now have a foothold.
A rubber ducky.
And if they have Active Directory and you get a account with their Active Directory, you can then log into that machine, sit on it, and then just throw like PowerShell Empire up and Responder, and just run those guys. There's tools out there to do this.
And see, like Responder will just sit there and freaking listen for stuff that's being sent through, and you'll end up. I mean, not all the time with DA cred, but oftentimes you'll end up with DA cred, especially if they run like a consistent vulnerability scan in their environment, stuff like that. Like, yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I'm not personally not too familiar with DA cred, but I'm just thinking about the company that I'm at now. I mean, like if I were to be able to get like a certain amount of access, okay, let's go check out the server room. I go in, I pull all the plugs or something like that. You know what? That company's losing, all that amount of money. I don't know how much amount of money it is, but a decent amount of money to in order to get the network back, type of thing. It's. I'm just like, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I'm just saying, just from a hacker perspective, you can cause a lot of damage just through these social engineering attacks and just the ways you can do it and stuff. Not even like getting people's passwords and stuff.
Think of what even with just the fish that I talked about at the beginning of the podcast. I found out that guy he's the web admin. So I could probably take his creds, go to every web admin portal that's on their external side, probably get a system shell, and then pivot from there into their internal machines, and then eventually get to domain admin.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of unrelated, but I mean, over summer of 2017, I interned with my cousin, and I mean, like, he didn't use a difficult password or anything like that. I'm able to log into his site as the administrator. I could it's like, I guess if you're just kind of looking for this stuff, then you kind of know the types of passwords and stuff like that to plug in, and you can cause a good deal of damage. I mean, you can, put some stuff up that's kind of, objectionable or whatever, but that's,
if you're talking like web server side, I mean, but ultimately the goal of an attack is
to make money. That money is the root of everything.
and what are you going to make money with? You're going to make money with creds, with intellectual property, with
data records,
data down fold.
Yes.
What was that?
Watching a company fold.
True.
Yeah. You do something bad enough, and their stockholders get mad, or
exactly.
blow their quarterly records, and hey, there you go.
Yep.
Like if you want to take any given company and down their system on Black Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. Like imagine if, I mean, not necessarily Amazon. Amazon could make it through that, but these.
Good to a point, but I mean, I'm talking about like if you're talking about breaking into companies and such, you don't need to be, the Kevin Mitnick of the universe in order to break into something and cause that kind of havoc. You can go to a brick and mortar store with a $2 set of wire cutters and network connections and their phone connections at 8 a.m. on Black Friday, and watch them not be able to perform sales all day long.
Yep.
They'll lose a ton of money if they're not able to make money on Black Friday.
Right.
And there's a lot of companies where probably 70 to 80% of their money comes between Black Friday and December 20, probably 2nd to 3rd.
But can you imagine the riot you're gonna have? They're gonna have their pallets of $150 50-inch TVs, and they can't sell them. Yep. They can't exact any credit. You can't do any credit card transactions.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not always about hacking. It's not always about breaking in and getting the data. Sometimes it's just
disruption. Yeah, I mean, think of some of these and just on that thought frame, think of some of these companies just get straight up DDoSed.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. You're stopping sales. I mean, granted, there are some safeguards out there, but those safeguards definitely come at a price.
Yeah, like there was a couple years ago. Shoot, what was it called? DreamHost got hit by Anonymous. This was right after Trump was elected. This was 2017. And Anonymous's mission was
wait, real quick though, like 2017, you were like what, 15?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool.
Working a development job and all that stuff.
Yeah. Hey, you were in that accelerated class.
Yeah, accelerated to getting beat up by the guy that was bigger than me.
That's your brother.
Yep.
who's like 16.
Yeah, yeah. So their mission was to DDoS specific sites that were these neo-Nazi groups that were hosted on DreamHost's servers.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
But instead of DDoSing them directly, they did a distributed denial of service attack by using the DNS DreamHost DNS as a relay to then flood all of the DNS traffic to all of their servers. So we were, the company I work for was hosting all of our stuff on DreamHost except for our external facing partners. So all of our stuff went down for our internal stuff, and then it took me like 2 seconds to Google real quick why it was happening, and I was like, oh geez, I'm like, this is smart, but at the same time, why? And even with subscription based platforms like DreamHost, you'll still see a lot of people either leave that thing because now they're a target. Like, this has happened, like it can happen again, so they might go to another spot. And DreamHost did have Cloudflare DDoS protection that they were paying for, and they were partnered with, but it still happened. So it still can happen even if you have those protections in place, that your services won't go down.
True.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember who like some of those protection in between services are, but yeah, Cloudflare I think is the big one that I was that I'm thinking of. Yeah,
Cloudflare is the big one, and this was not that one. What's interesting about that one, that wasn't the first time that I saw that kind of attack, and why it didn't take me long to realize it, because a UK bank a couple months prior to this got hit with the same kind of attack. Wow. And they registered a full terabyte worth of bandwidth, or Cloudflare registered a full terabyte of bandwidth coming out from, and that was hitting their servers and denying service.
Woo! Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and that was the moment where I was like, all right, I'm in the right industry, let's go.
Yeah, and see, like, that's the thing. Like, even whenever we going through the breach report and HSBC, I think it is, like, we haven't seen a lot of DDoSes here lately. Like, we were touched on them fairly frequently up until probably 4 or 5 months ago, and we have not seen hardly like any. I mean, and we know the massive, and that could be the big thing too. You got to remember where the money is, And so ransomware,
money trail.
Yeah, and ransomware and crypto mining.
Yep.
I mean, that may just be paying out a lot better right now, and so we're not seeing those massive groups being used for, DDoS. They're finding better financial segments, elsewhere.
Yeah, and that was a year ago, so that was right before. I think it was right before. No, it was. I think it was about a year ago. I think it was October of 2017 when that happened.
Yeah, when I was working at Staples, we saw a plethora. We saw a whole ton of the ransomware attacks from 2016 to 2017, which was when I stopped working there. I mean, I'm sure that they continued, but yeah, I guess that's a great way for those people to make money currently.
Yeah, and two, like even on the ransomware side, I'm not in I'm in the vendor space now, not in the client space. But when I was in the client space, like I was really happy once I started seeing a lot of the focus move off of ransomware and go to crypto mining.
Yeah.
Because like crypto mining still allows the system to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be able to detect that. That's not like completely ransacking my entire organization. I would much rather see crypto mining happening on a couple systems, and take it out than ransomware like killing out half my systems.
You can't even boot into the system if you have ransomware. I mean, the entire thing's encrypted.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Depending upon what the family is, all that fun stuff, yeah. And yeah, I'd much rather see a crypto miner or a ransom miner than a straight up ransomware any day of the week.
This is interesting also. I mean, people say that, oh, no, you're on a Mac, you can't get any viruses or anything like that. I mean, I'll be going to right. I mean, I'll be going to certain sites and stuff like that, and then I'll get a phishing attack because a pop-up will show up and it'll say, oh, here, search in this Bing bar. It's like it's a not really a Bing bar, but it looks just like a Bing bar, just like a Bing a Bing place where I can search with Bing and stuff like that. But I'm sure that if I type in stuff, then it's going to some remote address and stuff like that. So it's like that's phishing right there. It's like you really have to be careful when you're searching and stuff like that. And yeah, that's just an example. I mean, I use Mac, and I get these pop-ups that pretend to be Bing. So
yeah, and I think I mentioned it here a while back. I'm trying to find it real quick. But there was actually a security conference that was going to be happening in Hawaii that was Mac security centric. And like there's the Mac world and stuff like that, but they were actually, I think it was in Honolulu.
One of the islands in Hawaii.
Yeah, one of the islands. Don't quote me on that one. But it's in Hawaii, so it's on an island.
It's really nice.
But yeah, it is a Mac specific security conference because there's a lot of Mac conferences, but none that are fully like security conference. And so they were this year. I think this year was the initial one, starting a Mac centric security conference. And I think too, if I remember right, anybody who lived in Hawaii could attend for free. I think.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'd have to find that again. I'm sure it's in our notes somewhere here, but yeah, pretty cool. But yes, Macs can be infected.
What? So thank you for answering my question, guys, about like what the if there's a certain age demographic and if the certain stuff like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you mean especially for phishing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, Anybody is susceptible to the appropriate fish.
Yeah, it's like saying, do you know what a criminal looks like? It's that same kind of mentality. How do you?
Yeah.
Who's susceptible to fishing? Anybody. Anybody can be a criminal.
Yeah. I mean,
it's that same kind of logic.
That's kind of the fun part because I mean, thankfully, Caprico is going down the road of being a white hat, you know, which is cool. But Caprico's like 6 foot, you know, 14, and looks like a hippie. Now, if you were to put him right next to somebody with like a teardrop tattoo under his eye,
Lil Wayne,
and yeah, sure, Lil Wayne. Does he have a teardrop tattoo under his eye?
I think he does.
Like 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, even better. But you know, and somebody,
he's a good rapper, though. Right? Sorry.
Yeah, and you put both of them in a lineup, and you say like, okay, so who's the bad guy here? You know,
how do you feel about me? Do I look like a bad guy?
No, you don't have hair. Come on. So, only people with hair are bad guys.
Really, really long hair.
Yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah.
You know, but somebody who has like tattoos and you know, or sleeves or whatever they call all the tattoos, you know, and this and that, you know, and you put like Nate next to him, and so you ask somebody like in a lineup, like, who's the bad guy here? You know, hey,
fucking Caprico. Sorry.
Yeah, freaking Caprico. Like, he's the freaking hacker. So yeah, anybody can potentially be the hacker, as well as anybody can potentially be the victim.
Right.
So
and see, nobody would suspect me of being.
That's right. Because I mean, Charles, I just want to hug him.
Charles, if you do, my head would explode if you turned out to be a hacker. My brain would literally explode.
You don't have to worry about it exploding.
Hey, make sure I'm there whenever that happens. I'm going to record that. I'm going to put on YouTube, and I'm going to get a lot of followers and a lot of views and make a lot of money. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Charles is not a hacker. No way. Charles does not have an evil bone in Charles's body.
No, man. I love people.
They give me creds.
Oh, last of the night. Fixed news. You know, urgent news. So we've just found out that squirrels are trying to launch themselves into outer space.
Kill them.
We're staying live on this. We think it could be a nuclear threat. We are prepared to take the nuclear option. The president said, and we're just gonna have to see how this plays out. Yeah.
We love you, Trump.
Oh my God. Well, I guess we got to take a Trump.
We will have footage next week.
I'd love to see footage of this squirrel being launched.
I mean, we have a new purple Congress that has emerged out of Alaska. You know, Florida's Democrat. Canada is officially part of the U.S. Actually, that is.
Wait,
did you guys see?
Is Florida Democrat or no?
No. They went red. And but two, like nobody expected that to happen. All the polling data showed that the governor was going to go blue. Blah blah blah. But did you guys see? Like, if you went to Google.ca, so like Google Canada. Like it was the U.S. stuff. It was like, go vote today, and all the Canadians are like, what the fuck?
What the fuck, man?
It's not our voting day.
So okay, this just popped up on YouTube chat. Guys, Peter North here, old porn star, awesome stream. That was good looking honky.
What is Peter North asking about?
Hey,
he's not asking. He's just saying it's a great stream. So
thank you, Peter North.
Thank you, Peter North. So, random story. NoFap has X Hamster has declared war on NoFap. I'm not kidding.
He says, "All my best wishes, fans." Thanks, Peter. All right.
Oh, that's just wrong.
I'm not saying that on the stream.
Yeah, that's a.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's definitely an AP comment.
What?
Yeah, that is AP. I think that's AP right there.
AP can quote that one.
Really?
AP, you still on?
Yeah. I'm up to Discord, guys.
All right.
You all have a good night.
Good night, Adrian.
Night.
Later, guys.
You got to end the stream.